Chapter 1778 Decision? War or Retreat? Emperor God Tian Shao's voice reverberated in Clear Sky City and also in Jianghu Shuang's heart. In Clear Sky City, countless cultivators fixed their gazes on Jianghu Shuang. Everyone was waiting for Jianghu Shuang's decision. Before everyone's gaze, Jianghu Shuang's face was gloomy. There was chilliness in his eyes as murderous intention soared from his body. Die. 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 Jianghu Shuang was dying to continue the massacre. He wanted to strike terror into Soaring Heaven King Palace's heart and kill until no one dared to leave the lair anymore. However, his rationality was telling him clearly that Great Emperor Colored Glaze would come forward personally and he would definitely be set against Great Emperor Colored Glaze if he were to continue the massacre. With his power then, it was no doubt a hopeless battle if he were to fight with a Great Emperor. He didn't even have the space to struggle, nor could anyone save him. Even the Master of Star Palace might not stand a chance to stay alive in the hands of a great emperor, let alone Jianghu Shuang. Jianghu Shuang, hold on. You must hold on. King of Venomous Worm's voice rang in Jianghu Shuang's head. Jianghu Shuang, don't act on impulse. The Master of Star Palace who was hidden in the dark sent him a message too. The dignity of a great emperor does not allow provocation. Great Emperor Colored Glaze came forward personally to give an order. If you were to go against her, Great Emperor Colored Glaze definitely wouldn't hesitate to kill you. Jianghu Shuang's gaze was cold, but his tightly clenched hands slowly loosened before everyone's attention. The soaring murderous intention instantly dispersed into the air while his face grew calm as though nothing happened. The cultivators at the scene were impressed by the sight. Jianghu Shuang has such a strong mental state. He was still raging with murderous intentions. He instantly reined them in and became calm. His emotional intelligence is almost perfect. Jianghu Shuang doesn't seem to be carried away by resentment and rage. The cultivators were amazed. They could tell that Jianghu Shuang had already reined in his murderous intention and he naturally didn't intend to continue the massacre. In their viewpoint it was the wisest choice. Emperor God Tian Shao's smile stiffened and there was a glimpse of chilliness in his eyes. There was also a tinge of regret. At first he had wanted to provoke Jianghu Shuang so that Jianghu Shuang would pound at him under anger. Then, the Great Emperor Colored Glaze could kill him and remove the enemy of Soaring Heaven King Palace. Jianghu Shuang obviously wasn't fooled by him. Humph, Jianghu Shuang, I thought a top genius like you would never yield. But it seems like you are only SOSO, Emperor God Tian Shao sneered. Tian Shao, what's there to be happy about? Jianghu Shuang spoke and his voice sounded cold. Huh. Emperor God Tian Shao looked at him. Soaring Heaven King Palace? The top force in eternal chaotic world was cornered into such a position by me, a real god. I even killed 4 of your Sir Gods, many real gods and universe gods, but you didn't utter a word about it. In the end, you pleaded to Great Emperor Colored Glaze to come forward on your behalf. Even so, you are not embarrassed to be happy about this? Jianghu Shuang smirked. If I were you, I would have found a hole to hide. I wouldn't dare to come out and make a fool out of myself. B** starred. Emperor God Tian Shao was angry. What? Isn't it true? If you Soaring Heaven King Palace didn't plead for Great Emperor Colored Glaze to come forward, do you think you would have a chance to stand in front of me and speak to me? The experts from Soaring Heaven King Palace get to return alive, Jianghu Shuang teased. Emperor God Tian Shao was raging with anger but he suppressed his anger. He knew that Jianghu Shuang was provoking him. If he were to take action against Jianghu Shuang would instantly stand a chance to counterattack. Humph, I can't be bothered to talk to you. In short, if you kill anyone from Soaring Heaven King Palace again, just you wait and bear Great Emperor Colored Glaze's rage, Emperor God Tian Shao bellowed. Hee, Emperor God Tian Shao, I think you misunderstood Great Emperor Colored Glaze. She said that under the circumstance where Soaring Heaven King Palace doesn't take the initiative to provoke me, I can't kill the experts from Soaring Heaven King Palace within Colored Glaze Sanctuary. In other words, out of Colored Glaze Sanctuary, Great Emperor Colored Glaze won't care who I want to kill, Jianghu Shuang said coolly. Emperor God Tian Shao stunned. Yes, Great Emperor Colored Glaze did say so. Great Emperor Colored Glaze only restricted Jianghu Shuang within Colored Glaze Sanctuary. She prohibited him to continue the massacre in her territory, but if he were to head to other places, Great Emperor Colored Glaze couldn't get involved. As long as Colored Glaze Sanctuary settles down, you can't tell who will be the one killing when you run into experts from Soaring Heaven King Palace wandering outside, Emperor God Tian Shao said. Emperor God Tian Shao was confident. His brother Emperor God Tianling was in a crucial period. As long as he gave Emperor God Tianling some time, he would be able to reach the level of underworld god. By then, when Emperor God Tianling returned, wouldn't it be an easy task to kill Jian Wushuang? If so, I shall wait and see. Jian Wushuang glanced at Emperor God Tianshao. Then he turned and walked out of the city. The cultivators in Clear Sky City saw that Jian Wushuang was leaving and they became quiet. They knew that Jian Wushuang had no alternative. They could accept the outcome. However, what they didn't know was that Jian Wushuang's face immediately turned gloomy the moment he turned around. Soaring Heaven King Palace and Great Emperor colored glaze. Jian Wushuang's eyes glistened. Power comes down to the fact that I'm not powerful enough. Experts of Great Emperor level came forward personally and I couldn't go against her instruction but could only obey. If I were to become more powerful, it would be needless for me to become a Great Emperor and I would only need to reach the level of Underworld God, then I'd be able to fight against a Great Emperor. I could even survive in the fight with a Great Emperor. By then I can be fearless before Great Emperor colored glaze. Even if she wanted to stop me I can just ignore her. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. He possessed the fighting power of a Sir God and he was on the 61 place on Heaven and Earth Supreme Ranking list. He was already on the peak of Eternal Chaotic World. However, Jian Wushuang thought that he wasn't powerful enough. He still couldn't fight with a Great Emperor. When Great Emperor colored glaze gave an order, even though he harbored great resentment and felt aggrieved, he could only suppress it in his heart and leave. Soaring Heaven King Palace, I shall let you off the hook this time. However, it doesn't mean our resentment has ended. Just you wait. In no time I will attack again. By then I will flip Soaring Heaven King Palace upside down and kill all experts from Soaring Heaven King Palace. And Great Emperor colored glaze, you are stronger than me today. I have no choice but to retreat when you ask me to, but it's only a matter of time. I will crush you, a Great Emperor, under my foot. This day definitely won't be too far away. Chapter 1779 Ancient Mystery Land. Under the attention of many people, Jian Wushuang left the Colored Glaze Sanctuary. When the news spread to the Thunderbolt Island, experts from countless powerhouses were all extremely shocked. However, no one would look down on Jian Wushuang due to his choice. Instead, all of them admired and commended him. Quite a number of people thought even more highly of Jian Wushuang. After all, a great emperor had come personally. Who would dare to go against her? Jian Wushuang was quite powerful, to the point that he had gotten onto the Heaven and Earth Supreme Ranking list. However, he was not a hothead who would act recklessly. It is only by bearing with it for a short period of time one will have the chance to get to that supreme level in the future. This was what Sir God Mad Dog, who was on good terms with Jian Wushuang, said when he got the news. For this battle, be it talents, abilities or nature, Jian Wushuang has no doubt shown us all of them. If he doesn't die along the way, he will definitely become a great emperor in the future. If he is able to obtain the training method for the 7th step of an inverse cultivator, it will not be difficult for him to achieve the level of a great emperor. Moreover, there might even be hope for him to reach a level close to emperor by in the future. Jian Wushuang is the #1 genius of the current era. Countless experts were gasping in admiration and all of them had very high expectations of him. 10 days after Jian Wushuang had left the Colored Glaze Sanctuary, the attention of the experts of all the powerhouses in the eternal chaotic world shifted from Jian Wushuang to something else. An even bigger incident had occurred in the eternal chaotic world. The ancient mystery land is about to appear. This piece of news was like a storm which spread instantly. In the Purple Moon Sanctuary, there were tens of figures standing in the vast Milky Way of the Starland. These figures were all deacon elders of the Starland as well as some chaotic real gods. As for the 3 people in front, they were the 3 Hall Masters. Hall Master Yuan, Hall Master Gu Xan and Hall Master Shi Yun were all standing over there and all their faces wore smiles. In no time, 2 shadows appeared on a void that was far away. They were Jian Wushuang and the Star Palace Master. Ah, let's welcome our hero back, Hall Master Yuan laughed heartily. As for the elder deacons behind, they revealed scorching hot eyes which were filled with admiration. They had long known the news of Jian Wushuang massacring many experts of the Soaring Heaven King Palace wantonly in the Soaring Heaven Land and Sea Continent. With regards to that, all the elder deacons were naturally inspired. It should be known that the Soaring Heaven King Palace had always been very unreasonable. Throughout the ages they had always been the ones bullying others. Hence, when had they been bullied by others to the point that they had to use their trump card and that many of their experts were massacred? Thus, this had helped to vent the anger of the lineage of Star as well as many experts of the powerhouses in the Sanctuary Alliance who had once suffered losses in the hands of the Soaring Heaven King Palace. In particular, when they knew that Jian Wushuang had fought all the way to the Soaring Heaven Masnian alone and had killed 4 almighties of the Soaring Heaven King Palace, all of them had been extremely shocked. Every almighty was a super existence. Even if it were a big powerhouse like the Soaring Heaven King Palace, they only had a total of 11 almighties and 4 of them had been killed by Jian Wushuang in such a short amount of time. Even though Jian Wushuang had no choice but to stop his massacre due to the Colored Glaze Emperor coming personally later on, he could already be considered brilliant with these accomplishments. Hall Master Yuan, Hall Master Gu Xan and Hall Master Shi Yun, why are the 3 of you here? Jian Wushuang appeared in front of everyone. We have come here to welcome you and the Palace Master back, Hall Master Yuan laughed. Hall Master Wushuang alone has killed 4 Sir Gods of the Soaring Heaven King Palace and his power can match the power of the Soaring Heaven King Palace. Hee impressive. Hall Master Shi Yun gasped in admiration. Hall Master Wushuang, you are really admirable. Hall Master Gu Xan looked over. Please stop mocking me, Jian Wushuang laughed indifferently. Alright, let's continue talking in the cave, the Star Palace Master who was by the side said. Hall Master Yuan and his group of people nodded their heads. After that, everyone headed inside the Milky Way. Within the extremely exquisite and spacious cave, the Star Palace was sitting at the highest point. As for the 4 Hall Masters, which included Jian Wushuang below, they were sitting around randomly. Jian Wushuang, this time around you have killed 4 almighties of the Soaring Heaven King Palace and you can be said to have inflicted heavy losses on them. Although the Soaring Heaven King Palace is unable to do anything against you for now and they can only request the Colored Glaze Emperor to come personally to get you to stop, you cannot underestimate the Soaring Heaven King Palace just because of this. The Star Palace Master looked at Jian Wushuang. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded his head and said, currently, Emperor God Tianshao is the strongest person in the Soaring Heaven King Palace. This Emperor God Tianshao is considered nothing. The real person that the Soaring Heaven King Palace relies on should be Emperor God Tianling. It's good that you know. The Star Palace Master nodded his head. Emperor God Tianling is ranked 22nd on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. I have fought with him before and his abilities are indeed considerably stronger than mine. Moreover, I have obtained information that this Emperor God Tianling seemed to have found some opportunities in the second lair over the past few years. Hence, his abilities might have risen. If he were to come out from the second lair in the future, there is a very high possibility of him coming to find you. As such, you had better take some precautions as well. Understood, Jian Wushuang nodded his head again. He was not concerned about Emperor God Tianshao. However, Emperor God Tianling indeed had the right to attract his attention. In addition, I have a matter that I need all of you to know. The Star Palace Master's expression turned grave abruptly. I have just gotten a piece of news from the Sanctuary Alliance. In 10 years the Ancient Mystery Land will open. Ancient Mystery Land? Hall Master Yuan, Hall Master Gu Xan and Hall Master Shi Yun were all shocked. Only Jian Wushuang did not understand why it was so shocking. He had never heard of the Ancient Mystery Land. However, since the word ancient was mentioned, it was definitely related to the ancient past. The ancient past is the most powerful and prosperous era of this universe. There were countless experts. During that era, even great emperors were considered nothing. However, for whatever reason, a great battle burst forth in the ancient past and this caused the whole era to collapse completely. Moreover, even many territories of the ancient past were completely reduced to a battlefield. These ancient battlefields contain many secrets and opportunities of the ancient past. As such, to cultivators of the second era like us, they are extremely attractive. In the eternal chaotic world, there are quite a number of known ancient battlefields. The second layer to 8th layer are probably territories from the ancient past that have been destroyed. For example, the Buddhist Demon Sea in the 6th layer has been said to come about due to an ancient battlefield collapsing. The Star Palace Master's voice reverberated within the cave. Upon hearing the Buddhist Demon Sea, Jian Wushuang could not help but recall the 2 shocking experts who were hidden in the deepest part of the Buddhist Demon Sea. To Jian Wushuang, those 2 experts were so powerful that it was earth-shaking. Even if there were a great emperor expert, he would be considered nothing in front of them. As for the 1-star man who was one of the 2 experts, he had rescued him and given him an opportunity. At that time, from what the Star Palace Master had said, Jian Wushuang could confirm that the 2 experts, which was inclusive of the 1-star man in the Buddhist Demon Sea, were experts from the ancient past. However, they had always been in a deep sleep. They were the same as Long Chi's master, the 7-star Black Sect's super expert who had been in a deep sleep in the standalone space in the dark region of the 8th layer's core region. Chapter 1780 Great Opportunity? In the cave dwelling, the Master of Star Palace continued casually. Of course, no matter if it is Buddhist Demon Sea or other places, they are only miniature territories that broke from the true ancient battlefield, just like a drop of ocean water from a boundless ocean. In eternal chaotic world, there are two known boundless ancient battlefields that are more complete. First, there is the First Lair. The First Lair is an ancient battlefield that contains boundless opportunity. However, the First Lair was conquered by the Star Demon tribe long ago, and it is the Star Demon tribe's old lair. Even a great emperor would have scruples and not rush in easily. Over the years, Sanctuary Alliance has only searched through a small part of the territory in the First Lair. Besides the First Lair, there's another ancient battlefield, which is the Ancient Mystery Land that will only open every 5 million years. Ancient Mystery Land is much bigger than the First Lair, and the opportunities within are countless. Every time it opens, it will attract many experts to flood in. Same goes for this time. Then, the Master of Star Palace paused and overlooked. Then, among the 4 Hall Masters, Hall Master Gu Xian and Hall Master Nye Yun revealed passionate expressions, especially Hall Master Nye Yun. His eyes were bloodshot. Ancient battlefield had a great attraction for great emperors, let alone Hall Master Nye Yun. If the First Lair wasn't conquered by star demons and was too dangerous, many Sir God would go into the First Lair to try their luck without hesitation. Ancient Mystery Land didn't have any star demons, and it was much bigger than the First Lair, and also had more opportunities. The 2 Sir Gods were, of course, crazy about it. However, in contrast to the 2 Hall Masters, Hall Master Yuan looked cold and remained aloof about Ancient Mystery Land. He wasn't a Sir God, nor did he want to go to Ancient Mystery Land. As for Jian Wushuang, he looked equally unmoved. Ancient Mystery Land isn't as dangerous as the First Lair. Hence, even Sir Gods can head in. You might get a lot of opportunities if you are lucky. So, of the 4 of you, would anyone like to head into Ancient Mystery Land? The Master of Star Palace asked. I, Hall Master Nye Yun stood up without hesitation. I'd like to go too, Hall Master Gu Xian said. As for Hall Master Yuan and Jian Wushuang, neither spoke. To Hall Master Yuan, the Master of Star Palace didn't ask much, but he looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, among all mighties in lineage of Star, your power is second to mine. If you were to wander in Ancient Mystery Land, you would stand a higher possibility of getting an opportunity. Unless you are not interested in Ancient Mystery Land? I'm definitely interested, but not now. I've been fighting all this while and I am really tense. I want to relax, and it has been very long since I left my hometown. I plan to return to my hometown to take a look. As for Ancient Mystery Land, let's talk about it after I return from my hometown. Jian Wushuang smiled and said. You were first besieged by Soaring Heaven King Palace in the 8th Lair, then Acheron Palace tried to assassinate you in Buddhist Demon Sea. Now you have been fighting with Soaring Heaven King Palace. You really should relax for a bit, the Master of Star Palace was understanding. Palace Master, you would go personally during this opening of Ancient Mystery Land, right? Hall Master Yuan suddenly said. The Master of Star Palace nodded. I will wander personally during the opening of Ancient Mystery Land, and I intend to explore the 7-star realm. 7-star realm? Jian Wushuang was surprised. It's named after 7-star. Could it be related to 7-star Black Sect? Hall Master Nye Yun and Hall Master Gu Xian were confused too. Things have reached this stage, so I shall not keep it a secret to all of you. Many years ago I received secret skill of 7-star, secret skill of Star Palace, in 7-star realm, and also a unique treasure. The Master of Star Palace smiled. Hall Master Nye Yun and Hall Master Gu Xian were surprised. 7-star realm was left behind by an ancient force called 7-star Black Sect. The opportunities contained were far beyond secret skill of 7-star. It's a pity that 7-star Black Sect set up a lot of prohibitions in 7-star realm, including many killing formations. I was already lucky enough to obtain secret skill of 7-star and the unique treasure. All these years, although 7-star realm was open many times and I went in to explore as well, I didn't find much. Until 5 million years ago, which was the previous opening of the Ancient Mystery Land, I finally found a new opportunity in 7-star realm, and the opportunity was extraordinary. It's a pity that there's a prohibition outside the opportunity. Then, I didn't prepare much, so I didn't get my hands onto the opportunity even until Ancient Mystery Land closed. However, it's different this time. In the past 5 million years I have been well prepared. If there's no accident, I should be able to resolve the prohibition and obtain the opportunity within. By then, my overall power will definitely increase tremendously, and I might even reach the level of Great Emperor. The Master of Star Palace beamed with joy. Jian Wushuang, Hall Master Yuan, Hall Master Gu Xian, and Hall Master Nye Yun looked surprised when they heard him. An opportunity greater than the secret skill of 7 Star? If the Master of Star Palace got his hands on it, he stood a chance to become a great emperor? Great Emperor was one of the strongest people in Eternal Chaotic World. If there were to be another great emperor in lineage of Star, the overall power would definitely reach another brand new level. They might even overtake forces like Soaring Heaven King Palace. After all, although Soaring Heaven King Palace was strong, they were nothing in front of a great emperor. A great emperor could easily destroy the entire Soaring Heaven King Palace alone. 7-Star Realm is unusual. Palace Master has to be extremely cautious in his actions, Hall Master Yuan said. Don't worry. I know, the Master of Star Palace smiled, and he was obviously confident in his trip. Gu Xn Nye Yun and I will be heading to Ancient Mystery Land while Jian Wushuang will be returning to his hometown. You will have to take care of Lineage of Star alone for now, the Master of Star Palace said. Yes, Hall Master Yuan nodded. Alright, we shall finish here. Gu Xian and Ye Yun, both of you get ready. 10 years later, head to Ancient Mystery Land with me, the Master of Star Palace exhorted. Hall Master Gu Xian and Hall Master Nye Yun nodded simultaneously. Then the 4 of them left. In the cave dwelling, there was only the Master of Star Palace left. The Master of Star Palace then fixed his gaze in the distance and he pondered, in deep thought. Lineage of Star has too many enemies in Eternal Chaotic World, especially the possession of the secret skill of Star Palace. Countless experts and forces hankered for it. Even experts at the level of Great Emperor have thoughts about it. In addition to that, Jian Wushuang's sudden rise led to more people who have scruples about Lineage of Star. In such a situation, only if I become a Great Emperor could Lineage of Star be safe and sound. The opening of Ancient Mystery Land this time is a turning point. I definitely have to get the opportunity in 7-Star Realm. Chapter 1781, going back to take a look. In the Lineage of Star, someone sent a message to Jian Wushuang the moment he came out of the Star Palace Master's cave. The person who sent him a message was King Gu Tong. Jian Wushuang, I heard that you have already gotten into the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list of the human territories? Congratulations, King Gu Tong said. Human territories and the territories of special clans were completely separated. For example, the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list of the human territories only had human experts in it. As for the experts of the special clans, they were not in it. Of course, the most important thing was that there were very few interactions between human territories and the territories of special clans. King Gu Tong was a 7-star royal ancient god and was a person who was highly respected. Hence, he had some knowledge regarding the human territories. Naturally, he knew about the matter where Jian Wushuang had gotten into the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. King Gu Tong, what is the progress of the recovery of your abilities? Jian Wushuang replied with a laugh. Comparing abilities, his current abilities were stronger than those of King Gu Tong. Thus, he could naturally communicate with King Gu Tong on equal footing. I have more or less recovered. Moreover, after a short while, I will be going for 8-star ancient god, King Gu Tong said. Oh. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. An 8-star ancient god was equivalent to the level of a human emperor god. Furthermore, King Gu Tong was a royal ancient god. As soon as he made a breakthrough, his abilities would be out of the ordinary. Congratulations, Jian Wushuang said. Let's not talk about that now. I have contacted you because of a certain matter. King Gu Tong's voice turned serious. Since you are already one of the top experts of the human territories, you should know about the news of the Ancient Mystery Land appearing soon, right? Yes, I just got to know it. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. The Ancient Mystery Land has a huge implication. To special clans like us, it is extremely attractive. Hence, some of the experts of my ancient god clan, as well as a few other top special clans, will be going there to travel. Moreover, back then, I told you that the space crack that leads to the battlefield that your hometown is at is in the Ancient Mystery Land, King Gu Tong said. Jian Wushuang's eyes and expression turned grave immediately. When he had encountered King Gu Tong in the ancient god sanctuary in the past, he got to know that King Gu Tong had gone to the battlefield that his hometown was at via the space crack of a special mystery land. King Gu Tong has said before that the space crack is extremely well hidden. Back then he found it by chance. Apart from him, no one else in the whole eternal chaotic world should know about the existence of that space crack. However, now that the ancient mystery land is about to open, there is no guarantee that the space crack will not be found by someone, Jian Wushuang murmured. The space crack was a huge hidden trouble. If someone were to find it and spread the news of it, a great number of experts would definitely rush to the battlefield that his hometown was at. By then it would be extremely troublesome. Jian Wushuang, I am merely telling you this so that you can take some precautions. However, you need not worry. After so many years, the ancient mystery land has opened so many times. In the end, I am the only person who has gone to the mystery land where your hometown is before. Even if other people wanted to go, they might not be so lucky as to come across it by chance, King Gutong said. Alright, thank you very much for telling me this. Jian Wushuang thanked him and cut the transmission. In the Milky Way, Jian Wushuang heaved a light sigh of relief. I hope no one discovers the existence of the space crack when the ancient mystery land opens this time around. If they were to really find it by accident, a great number of experts will descend upon the battlefield in my hometown. By then, I would at most give away all the resources of the battlefield. It will be alright as long as I can keep the green fire world. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists tightly. He had made up his mind. After knowing that, Jian Wushuang did not delay any further and he made preparations to return to his hometown right away. However, this time around, Jian Wushuang did not plan to return alone. In a star in the boundless Milky Way. The star was a huge, open space and it was used especially for duels. At that moment, two figures were fighting one another in the open space. One of them was holding a giant axe with both his hands. Towering axe shadows were being unleashed in succession and they were like tidewater which came forth in a steady flow. The towering axe shadows filled the universe and caused many disciples who were observing the battle by the side to exclaim in admiration. However, while facing the axe shadows which were heading toward him, the young man who held a sword in his hands unleashed many strokes one by one randomly. Although it looked simple and random, he managed to block all the axe shadows easily. Moreover, the sword essences had forced his opponent into an unusually miserable state. After just a short while, the disciple holding the giant axe was defeated. You have lost. Hishio's voice was cold and he wore an indifferent smile. As for the disciple who he had defeated, he forced a smile. He had already given his all by unleashing all his tricks. However, he had still been defeated by Hishio easily. Too strong. Senior brother Hishio is really too strong. Among universe gods of the third heaven like us, senior brother Bai Hao is considered one of the top 3. Similarly, he has the right to get into the universe god ranking list. However, in senior brother Hishio's hands, there is no room for him to struggle at all. When senior brother Hishio fought with him, he defeated him easily without even unleashing his unique skills and sword principles. These are the fighting capabilities of the top 10 on the universe god ranking list. No wonder countless hall masters valued him highly and he was accepted as a registered disciple. Currently, no one among the disciples of the lineage of Star is more talented than senior brother Hishio. Registered disciple? Why have I heard that he is a lineal disciple? Many disciples in the Star were having a discussion. As for Hishio, he was not concerned with those comments and he was about to leave. All of a sudden, a message was sent to him. Master is looking for me? Hishio's expression changed and he headed to the Sword Star without hesitation. In a vast hall in the Sword Star, Jian Wushuang was sitting on the throne which was at the highest point. Although he was not emitting any aura, the invisible pressure that he exerted was still enough to make chaotic real gods shiver with fear. In the big hall, Chiu Yu, who had already become a real god and had gotten herself established among the void real gods, was standing quietly. In no time a shadow rushed over. Greetings to Master, Hishio bowed respectfully. You may get up. Jian Wushuang waved his hands and Hishio got up right away. I heard that you got into the 9th position of the Universe God ranking list 300 years ago? Jian Wushuang was looking down at his disciple. That's right, Hishio answered. However, that was 300 years ago. For the past 300 years, with the aid of the real God Hall, my abilities have risen considerably. Hence, I am confident that I can get into the top 5 of the Universe God ranking list now. Oh, not bad, Jian Wushuang praised him and nodded his head. With regards to his disciple Hishio, who he had accepted in the Holy Kingdom of Real Wushu, Jian Wushuang was quite satisfied. In particular, for the past 7,000 years, ever since he had come to the lineage of Star, he had improved greatly. He was already the number 1 among the disciples of the lineage of Star. Moreover, he was ranked 9th on the Universe God ranking list and he had a great reputation in the eternal chaotic world. Chapter 1782 Descend, Snow Kingdom. Hearing Jian Wushuang's compliment, Hishio clenched his hand but didn't get carried away. He knew his master's capability. In terms of the improvement that he had made over the years, he was naturally much better than an ordinary genius. However, if he were to compare himself with his master, he was far behind. They were not at the same level at all. Xiao had always treated his master as his goal. In the hall, Jian Wushuang looked down at Xiao and Qiuyu. Today I called the two of you over to inform you that I will make a trip back to my hometown for a while. As for how long I have no idea. So, I am giving you two a choice. If you are willing, you may head back with me, Jian Wushuang said. I am your maidservant. Wherever Mr. goes I will naturally follow, Qiuyu replied without hesitation. As for Xiao, he kept quiet for a while, then he nodded heavily. I am willing to follow master anywhere. Then Jian Wushuang smiled. Actually he could have returned to his hometown alone, but it was inevitable that he would run into some trouble along the way. Because of his identity, he naturally couldn't just take action hastily. Hence, it'd be best if one or two persons of the highest position followed him. Qiuyu was his maidservant and Xiao was his disciple. They could be said to be the two closest people to him. Jian Wushuang of course chose to bring the two of them. If so, let's depart now. On that day itself, Jian Wushuang left Star Land. He took his ancient spaceship and traveled to the direction of his hometown, Greenfire World. Back when Jian Wushuang had come to the 10 sanctuaries from Greenfire World, he had spent a total of a few thousand years there. Along the way he had come across countless hardships and he nearly died a few times. Then, the threats and dangerous places along the way were almost non-existent before an expert with fighting power of an emperor god. The spaceship that Jian Wushuang was on constantly traveled at a terrifying speed. In less than 100 years' time he arrived at Snow Kingdom. Snow Kingdom was the first holy kingdom that Jian Wushuang had stepped foot on after arriving in Eternal Chaotic World. The Holy Kingdom was much further from the 10 sanctuaries in the core of Eternal Chaotic World. It was located in a remote area. Hence, the experts weren't as many as in the Holy Kingdoms closer to the sanctuaries. The Holy Kingdoms closer to the 10 sanctuaries, such as Holy Kingdom of Real Wushu and Jiogong Holy Kingdom, had dozens or even hundreds of real gods. However, there were only over 10 real gods in Holy Kingdom. As for the monarch of the Snow Kingdom, he was only an ordinary chaotic real god. There were two places in Snow Kingdom where they nurtured geniuses. One was Universe God Palace and the other was Snow Dojo. At first, the two genius campsites in Snow Kingdom were evenly matched. However, there had been some changes in recent years. In a lofty palace in Snow Dojo, over 10 golden deacons of Snow Dojo gathered there and they were standing in groups of 2 to 3 as they chattered. It could be seen that the faces of the golden deacons weren't great. Lost. Snow Dojo lost the ranking battle again. Like the previous term, all 3 ranking battles were won by Universe God Palace. We were defeated so badly. I reckon the outside world sees Snow Dojo as a laughingstock now. No choice. We have lost 4 terms continuously and we lost all 3 battles for 4 terms. It is a crushing defeat. We are both genius campsites of Snow Kingdom, but Universe God Palace suppressed us Snow Dojo so badly. All these years, the geniuses and experts that Snow Dojo raised were far behind Universe God Palace. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom is already unhappy with us. For the 10 ranking battle that took place in the past 100,000 years, Snow Dojo only won once and it was won with the assistance of a genius that we invited at the last moment. The genius wasn't brought up by Snow Dojo. With such achievements, how do we face the monarch of the Snow Kingdom? The ranking battle between Snow Dojo and Universe God Palace only happened every once in 10,000 years. In the ranking battles for the past few years, Snow Dojo had suffered crushing defeat. Then, there was suddenly a figure that substantiated at the uppermost throne in the hall. The moment the person appeared, his real god aura spread across. Everyone in the hall immediately stood in humble reverence. Looking at the cold-looking man who was raging in anger, everyone kept quiet. Rubbish, a bunch of rubbish. Master of Silence Gloriette cursed angrily. 4 terms of ranking battle continuously, every term has 3 battles. There are a total of 12 battles and you lost all 12. You could have just won 1. With such battle achievement, how will we of Snow Dojo be worthy of all the resources provided by the monarch? Master of Silence Gloriette reprimanded and the golden deacons below lowered their heads in embarrassment. Looking at how the golden deacons behaved, the Master of Silence Gloriette got even more furious. Listen up, the monarch already said that he will give us another chance. If Snow Dojo were to lose the next ranking battle again, it wouldn't be necessary for us to exist. The moment he said that, the golden deacons were shocked. Not necessary for us to exist? Does it mean that they are going to close down Snow Dojo? In the future, Snow Kingdom will only have Universe God Palace? How can it be? There's someone who exclaimed. What? Now you're panicking? What did you do then? Master of Silence Gloriette glared at the golden deacons under him. Then he sighed. Forget it. The genius disciples in Snow Dojo are failing, and that has to do with me too. It's hard for me to absolve myself from the blame. Now, I won't force you, but let me clarify this. If you want Snow Dojo to continue to exist, please give your all for the next 10,000 years. Regardless of the method, you must nurture disciples who are more outstanding than Universe God Palace. Yes, the Golden Deacons nodded heavily. Very soon, everyone was dismissed. There was only Master of Silence Gloriette left on the throne alone, and he sighed. Then, in Snow Kingdom, outside Snow Sacred World, there was an ancient spaceship that was moving over slowly. There were 3 figures in the spaceship cabin. Mister, according to star map that I have, in front should be where Snow Kingdom is located. Is Mister's hometown here? Qiu asked. No, Jian Wushuang shook his head. My hometown is in a small eternal world, but not this holy kingdom. The reason why I came here was to see some old friends. Jian Wushuang had stayed in Snow Sacred Land for a while. He had even joined Snow Dojo, and he still carried the identity of a disciple of Snow Dojo. Chapter 1783 Little Kid? After just a short while, an ancient spaceship descended in the Snow Sacred Land. After descending, Jian Wushuang's frightening soul power spread through the area right away, and almost the whole Snow Sacred Land was covered by it. At the same time, many higher-ups of the Snow Sacred Land became alarmed straight away. A great number of figures then flew over from all directions and came to the edge of the Snow Sacred Land. Among the people who had come, there were many experts from the Snow Dojo and Universe God Palace, where many geniuses were gathered. Moreover, there were some experts from the top clans in the Snow Sacred Land. In addition, quite a number of the Snow Kingdom's imperial family had come. At that moment, the large number of cultivators raised their heads, and they were looking at the ancient silver spaceship in front of them with a great amount of shock. Too frightening. This spaceship is really too frightening. What a frightening aura. I feel that if this spaceship were to collide with something, many seals of the Snow Sacred Land would probably be useless. Whose spaceship is this? Many cultivators present were gasping in admiration. They had gotten information that a strong spaceship had descended. Hence, they hurried over right away. Master, your abilities are powerful. Have you seen such a frightening spaceship before? Among the crowd of people, a golden deacon from the Snow Dojo questioned the Master of Silence Gloriette. I have never seen this before. The Master of Silence Gloriette shook his head, and he was extremely terrified. In actual fact, this silver spaceship had been obtained by Jian Wushuang from the Chen Kuan Ring of the Soaring Heaven King Palace's Sir God Qi Xing after killing him. To date, this was the best spaceship that Jian Wushuang had come into contact with, and it was worth no less than 10,000 doctrine gems. Not only was the spaceship's speed of traveling in the dark void shocking, it had powerful attack moves. Even if it were a simple collision, a chaotic real god would not be able to bear the impact. Hence, this spaceship could turn a mere Snow Sacred Land into pieces by crashing into it. At that moment, a big group of people was rushing over from afar, and the person in front was a golden-robed man who was 2 meters tall. It's the monarch. Even the monarch is alarmed. Many cultivators present revealed a respectful expression. When the monarch of the Snow Kingdom came to the crowd, he saw the ancient silver spaceship which was floating in front right away. This spaceship. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom revealed a fearful expression. After that, he cupped one of his hands in the other before his chest, and his loud voice resounded across the universe. I am the monarch of the Snow Kingdom. I am not sure which friend of mine has come, but I request to have an audience with you. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom got off his high horse. After his words spread, 3 shadows floated down from the ancient spaceship. Among the 3 of them, the person standing to the left was a cold youth who was carrying a sharp sword on his back. The eyes of the cold youth were penetrating. Although the aura that he emitted was extremely rare among the universe gods of the third heaven, no one in the Snow Sacred Land was too concerned about it. As for the person standing on the right, she was a woman with a beautiful, bewitching face. This woman had a humble expression, and she was standing to the side respectfully. As such, she should have just been a maid. However, this maid was a genuine real god. As for the person in the middle, surrounded by these 2 people with one on the left and the other on the right, he was a crimson-robed man. Similarly, the crimson-robed youth was carrying a sword on his back. He had a gentle expression, and he wore an indifferent smile. He was different from the 2 people beside him, and he was not emitting any aura at all. There was no aura at all, and he was just like a normal person. However, if everyone were to close their eyes, they would absolutely not discover the existence of this crimson-robed man. Instead, they could only feel a vast constellation. It was as if he possessed everything in the universe. Everyone's eyes could not help but be fixed onto the crimson-robed man in the middle. It was the same for the monarch of the Snow Kingdom. Since the monarch of the Snow Kingdom was able to become the monarch of a holy kingdom, his abilities should have achieved the level of a chaotic real god. However, the instant he saw the crimson-robed man, he seemed to have seen an illusion. It was as if with a thought the other party could kill him countless times. Such a feeling had only been felt by the monarch of the Snow Kingdom from one person before. "Greetings to Lord," the monarch of the Snow Kingdom greeted respectfully right away. "Greetings to Lord." Many cultivators from the Snow Sacred Land greeted the person who had come. Upon seeing everyone in front of him, Jianghu Shuang laughed apathetically. However, all of a sudden, when he swept his eyes past everyone, he saw a person in the crowd. "Oh, Master of Silence, Gloriette? Long time no see," Jianghu Shuang laughed. You are..." The Master of Silence, Gloriette, opened his eyes widely and stared at Jianghu Shuang unrelentingly. A figure then appeared in his mind at once. It was a little kid from 40,000 years ago. That little kid had looked for him for the map to go to the 10 sanctuaries. In no time, the two figures were superimposed onto one another. "You are that little kid from back then?" The Master of Silence, Gloriette, cried out in alarm. "Little kid?" Jianghu Shuang stroked his nose and he had a puzzled expression. "How impudent!" The monarch of the Snow Kingdom berated immediately. The Master of Silence, Gloriette, noticed that he had made an indiscreet remark and he asked for forgiveness at once. "It's all right," Jianghu Shuang waved his hands and he was not concerned at all. At that moment, a figure floated over. "She has come." Jianghu Shuang placed both his hands behind him and looked over. The person who had come was a Taoist-robed married woman. As she walked over, every step contained special magic power. The moment she appeared at the void, many cultivators in that piece of universe became completely stunned, as if they had become idiots. After a long time, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom was the first person to react and he shouted with respect right away, "Lord Tian Yuan! Lord Tian Yuan!" Everyone in the area was dumbfounded. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom was the master of a holy kingdom. In just a short amount of time, he had actually shouted "Lord" twice in succession? Jianghu Shuang should be a super expert from outside the Snow Kingdom. Hence, it was very normal for the monarch of the Snow Kingdom to address him as Lord. What about Lord Tian Yuan? Didn't she come from inside the Snow Sacred Land? Tian Yuan? Tian Yuan Mystery Land? The Master of Silence, Gloriette's eyes shrank abruptly. It is rumored that the cave of a lord is in the Tuan Yuan Mystery Land and even the monarch needed to treat her with respect. Could she be this person in front? Without caring about the reactions of anyone in the area, after the Taoist-robed married woman appeared, she looked at Jianghu Shuang immediately. "You should be the little friend Jianghu Shuang who has gotten into the Heaven and Earth Supreme Ranking list, right?" The Taoist-robed married woman laughed gently and modestly. "I am Jianghu Shuang. Greetings to Sir God Tian Yuan," Jianghu Shuang greeted. "Little friend, you are being too modest," the Taoist-robed married woman said right away. "Little friend has gotten into the 61st position of the Heaven and Earth Supreme Ranking list. With such abilities, even if there were 3 of me, we would still be defeated with a flip of your palm, so how could I accept a greeting from you?" Chapter 1784 Favor. The ordinary cultivators in Snow-Scared World had heard what the Taoist-robed woman said and they didn't find it strange, but the monarch of the Snow Kingdom's heart skipped a beat. He knew the Taoist-robed woman's capability. But she had said that 3 of herself combined wouldn't be the crimson-robed man's match. Just how strong was the crimson-robed man? Almighty. He must be an almighty and he must be a super expert among almighties. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom's facial expression changed. "Little friend, let's find a place and continue to chat," the Taoist-robed woman said. "Sure," Jianghu Shuang nodded. "Snow, lead the way," the Taoist-robed woman glanced at the monarch of the Snow Kingdom. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom immediately led the way in front but didn't bother with his identity as the monarch of the Snow Kingdom. Just as Jianghu Shuang and the others left, it immediately stirred a hubbub among the crowd. All the cultivators were discussing Jianghu Shuang and the Taoist-robed woman's identities. In a lofty hall, Jianghu Shuang sat side by side with the Taoist-robed woman. As for the monarch of the Snow Kingdom, he Xiao and Qiu Yu sat below. "Wushuang, the last time I saw you, you were in my Tian Yuan Mystery Land. You were only a universe god then. In the blink of an eye, you already became the top existence in eternal chaotic world and you are even listed in Heaven and Earth Supreme Ranking list. I am really impressed," the Taoist-robed woman, Sir God Tian Yuan, said. "I am just lucky," Jianghu Shuang smiled humbly. He roughly knew the Taoist-robed woman. Sir God Tianyuan was a Sir God expert that was good at soul attacks. She wasn't famous in eternal chaotic world, but her soul attack was unusually fierce. It was said that she could even pose as a threat to the top Sir Gods. For instance, although Jian Wushuang's fighting power was strong, his soul strength wasn't strong. If Sir God Tianyuan were to launch a full soul attack, it could put him into a threatened position too. Speaking of Tianyuan Mystery Land, Sir God Tianyuan never revealed yourself and you didn't even know me, but you gave me an opportunity. This favor, I remember it by heart. If you need anything in the future, if it's within my capability, I'll never refuse to help, Jian Wushuang said. Jian Wushuang was very grateful for what Sir God Tianyuan had done. Back in Snow Sacred World, Jian Wushuang had joined the ranking battle as a disciple from Snow Dojo and had won himself a chance to enter Tianyuan Mystery Land for cultivation for 10 years. In the 10 years, not only did Jian Wushuang's soul power increase tremendously, most importantly, he had received an opportunity from Sir God Tianyuan. Secret skill of Tianyuan. Even though the secret skill of soul attack was nothing much to Jian Wushuang, he could even get any other stronger secret skill of soul attack easily. However, back when Jian Wushuang was still weak, the secret skill helped him a lot. There were even many times when Jian Wushuang had run into danger. He had resolved it through secret skill of Tianyuan. The secret skill was extremely helpful when he had still been a universe god. Although Jian Wushuang didn't know who had provided him the secret skill in Tianyuan Mystery Land, he remembered the favor in his heart. He was a person who attached importance to friendship and emotions. He was also a person who made a clear distinction between kindnesses and wrongs. He would definitely take revenge if there was resentment, and repay if there was a favor. Sir God Tianyuan had done him a favor. Hence, when he passed by Snow Sacred Land, he wanted to express his gratitude to Sir God Tianyuan personally. Haha, back then I noticed that you were an inverse cultivator and carried the bloodline of an ancient god. I happened to be friends with a 7-star ancient god. So, I gave the secret skill of Tianyuan to you to befriend you. I never thought you could reach such a level today, Sir God Tianyuan smiled. A favor to an expert on heaven and earth supreme ranking list. I made a great investment. Without the opportunity that Sir God Tianyuan provided me, I might not be able to achieve what I have today, Jian Wushuang smiled. The secret skill of Tianyuan that Sir God Tianyuan gave him helped him to head off disasters many times. Jian Wushuang repaid the favor as was only right and proper. Oh yeah, little friend, you came to Snow Sacred Land today just for me? Sir God Tianyuan asked. There are two purposes of my visit to Snow Sacred Land. Mainly to express my gratitude to Sir God Tianyuan. Secondly, to meet an old friend, Jian Wushuang said. You have a friend in Snow Sacred Land? I wonder who it is, Sir God Tianyuan asked. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom immediately looked. After he had found out about Jian Wushuang's power, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom had been thinking of ways to curry favor with him. However, with Jian Wushuang's identity, no matter how much effort he put into it, he couldn't be in contact with him. But if it was Jian Wushuang's friend, it would be different. No matter who your friend is, Snow Kingdom will try our best to be on friendly terms with him, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom said. I only have one friend in Snow Sacred Land, his name is Wuxia. 40,000 years ago, he was a golden deacon in Snow Dojo. I wonder how he has been, Jian Wushuang said. Wuxia. He had brought Jian Wushuang to Snow Sacred Land and joined Snow Dojo back then. On the way there, Wuxia had taken care of him and he shared a good relationship with Jian Wushuang. Hold on. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom immediately sent a message to the information department of Snow Kingdom. Very soon there was a reply. Mr. Wuxia doesn't hold a position in Snow Dojo anymore and he left Snow Sacred Land, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom said. Oh. Jian Wushuang looked at the monarch of the Snow Kingdom and realized that he didn't look too good. Humph. There was a cold humph and a divine might spread from Jian Wushuang's body and pressed onto the monarch of the Snow Kingdom. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom felt as though the sky was falling and his internal organs were going to break apart. At the same time he felt his body unable to endure it and he knelt down. Snow, what's going on? Sir God Tianyuan looked at him. To Jian Wushuang and Sir God Tianyuan, who was high above the masses, a monarch of a holy kingdom was a nonentity. If they wanted to, they could have killed the monarch of the Snow Kingdom easily and appointed another person to be the monarch. Something happened, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom said anxiously. 30,000 years ago, Wuxia had a fight with a lineal disciple of mine. Then Wuxia was forced to leave by the lineal disciple and he was told to never enter Snow Sacred Land ever again. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Humph. Sir God Tianyuan looked at Snow coldly. Snow, your lineal disciples made an impressive show of power, huh? They relied on your might as a monarch and cornered Jianghu Shuang's friend? Chapter 1785 The Snow Dojo's Disciple. I have already sent an order down to get people to capture that lineal son of mine, and he is all yours to handle, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom said. Jianghu Shuang tapped the chair that he was sitting on with his hands. After remaining for some time he said, "Currently, where is Wu Tsang? I have gotten news that he is currently in the Dayu world. It is said that one of his good friends has gotten into some trouble over there and he went over to help him," the monarch of the Snow Kingdom said. The Dayu world? Jianghu Shuang could not help but laugh. His hometown, the Green Fire world, was in the Dayu world. Hence, he had stayed there for quite a period of time as well. As for Wu Tsang's good friend, Jianghu Shuang knew that it was the Dayu Palace Master. The Dayu Palace Master is the overlord of the Dayu world. Since he has come across some trouble, does that mean that some unforeseen events have occurred in the Dayu world? Jianghu Shuang murmured, and he spoke after that, "I will go to the Dayu world right away. As for the lineage son under you, I will let Wu Tsang handle him after he comes back." Understood, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom nodded his head immediately. All right. I saw the Master of Silence Gloriette of the Snow Dojo just now. Back then, when I set off from the Snow Kingdom to the 10 sanctuaries, he was the one who gave me the map. During that time I was indeed a little kid to him. Hence, he did not offend me just now when we were outside. As such, you must not make trouble for him. As for the Snow Dojo, I was once a disciple of the Snow Dojo. Thus, you should also treat its disciples well, Jianghu Shuang said. Understood, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom nodded his head again. After having a simple chat, Jianghu Shuang did not continue and he left at once. Lord, please have a safe trip. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom led many cultivators of the Snow Sacred Land to send Jianghu Shuang off to his spaceship. After Jianghu Shuang left, Snow, you have heard little friend Jianghu Shuang's instructions. Therefore you should think over how you are going to do things. If you really have no idea, you should step down from your position of monarch. After Sir God Tianyuan spoke, she returned to the Tianyuan Mystery Land immediately. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom had broken out in a cold sweat while standing in his position. After Sir God Tianxian had left as well, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom heaved a sigh of relief. After that, he turned his head and looked at the large number of cultivators. In the end, his attention was focused on one person. Master of Silence Gloriette, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom said. Monarch, the Master of Silence Gloriette said right away. Quite a number of the surrounding people looked at the Master of Silence Gloriette with sympathy and ridicule. They had seen with their own eyes that the Master of Silence Gloriette had offended the Lord moments ago. What was the position of that Lord? Even the monarch of the Snow Kingdom trembled with fear when he saw him, and the Master of Silence Gloriette had actually called him little kid in front of so many people? Wasn't he courting death? Although it was unintentional, there was no guarantee that the other party would not be concerned. Let's look at how the monarch will punish him. After all, the Master of Silence Gloriette has a high position. Hence, the monarch will probably not kill him. However, there will definitely be a punishment. Quite a number of people were thinking about that. The Master of Silence Gloriette was also extremely fearful. However, all of a sudden, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom, who had been staring at him, revealed a smile. Master of Silence Gloriette, your Snow Dojo has indeed not disappointed me. Great going. What? The Master of Silence Gloriette was stunned. The surrounding people also looked at the monarch of the Snow Kingdom with surprise. Shouldn't the monarch of the Snow Kingdom be enraged and punish the Master of Silence Gloriette straight away? Why did he commend the Snow Dojo instead? What? Don't you understand yet? The monarch of the Snow Kingdom laughed. You know that Lord from just now, right? Of course I do. The Master of Silence Gloriette nodded his head. It was more than 40,000 years ago. To date, it should have been 50,000 years already. Back then, he was only a universe god and he had once represented the Snow Dojo to take part in that ranking competition. Due to his participation, the Snow Dojo was victorious in the ranking competition. You're wrong about that. The monarch of the Snow Kingdom laughed heartily. That lord is a super existence who is exceptionally talented and his power has completely exceeded your expectations. Moreover, such a super expert was actually once a disciple of your Snow Dojo? Just now he also told me personally to treat the Snow Dojo well. This means that his impression of the Snow Dojo is not too bad. How honored do you think you are? The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. The lord from before actually came from the Snow Dojo. Such an earth-shaking super expert had actually been born from the Snow Dojo. I have already made up my mind. From today now, I will give the Snow Dojo twice the amount of resources. As for the upcoming ranking competition, you just need to do your best. The end result is not important, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom said. What? Everyone was shocked again. Especially the people from the Universe God Palace. They had finally suppressed the Snow Dojo to the point that even the monarch of the Snow Kingdom wanted to close down the Snow Dojo. However, at that point, just because of the arrival of an expert who was slightly related to the Snow Dojo, not only did the monarch of the Snow Kingdom stop thinking about getting rid of the Snow Dojo, he had also decided to give them twice the amount of resources. This was twice the amount of resources. Even when their Universe God Palace had won the ranking competition in succession for the past few years, the monarch of the Snow Kingdom had never been so generous. My Snow Dojo is about to change for the better, the Master of Silence Gloriette was extremely delighted. It was the same for the Golden Deacons of the Snow Dojo who were at the back. They had originally thought that it was the end of the line for the dojo. However, in the end, due to the arrival of Jianghu Shuang, the Snow Dojo had achieved its peak instantly. Moreover, its position in the mind of the monarch of the Snow Kingdom had risen higher than never before. It was all because of Jianghu Shuang. In the dark void, the silver spaceship that Jianghu Shuang and the two other people were riding was moving at a shocking speed continuously. As it was only from the Snow Sacred Land to the Dayu World, the distance was not too far. With the spaceship's speed, they reached the Dayu World in just a few months' time. This time around, Jianghu Shuang did not attract so much attention by riding the spaceship into the Dayu World. Instead, he stopped the spaceship outside the Dayu World. Both of you shall wait for me here. I will be going in to greet some of my old friends, Jianghu Shuang said. Understood, He Xiao and Qiu Yu nodded their heads with respect. After that, Jianghu Shuang's body turned vague and he disappeared from the spaceship. The Dayu World was a normal region under the Snow Kingdom. As a normal region, their experts were normally universe gods of the third heaven. Back then, when Jianghu Shuang had been traveling in the Dayu World, everything in the Dayu World had been controlled by the Dayu Palace Master, a universe god of the third heaven. Moreover, he was the only universe god of the third heaven in the whole region. Hence, he was the most powerful person. Back then, to Jianghu Shuang, the Dayu Palace Master had been considered a super existence which was impossible to surpass. However, at that time, forget about a mere universe god of the third heaven, even if it were real gods, Jianghu Shuang had already killed an innumerous number of them. After entering the Dayu World, Jianghu Shuang knew that some unforeseen events had indeed occurred in the Dayu World. Chapter 1786, Tianzhu City in Dayu Palace in Dayu World. Jianghu Shuang stopped in the void above a lofty hall in Dayu Palace. In the void, Jianghu Shuang could clearly feel the auras in the hall below and there were quite a number of them that he was familiar with. There are quite a lot of old friends here, Jianghu Shuang smiled and he flew towards the hall. In the hall, many universe gods had gathered. Among the universe gods, the master of Dayu Palace and Wu Tsang were leaders. Then they were followed by experts from Scarlet Island, Golden Sun Sect and Holy Prefecture. In Dayu World, 1 monarch and 3 overlords, the representatives of 4 major forces were gathered. Palace Master, there are news saying Tianzhu City's troops already departed. They will arrive in 6 hours' time at most, a white-dressed universe god reported politely. 6 hours? The master of Dayu Palace grew distressed. The universe gods at the scene didn't look good either. I never expected Tianzhu City to grow so fast, the master of Scarlet Island said. D***M in Tianzhu City, they didn't even give us a chance, the master of Golden Sun Sect said. Tianzhu City has just risen and they wanted to punish one as an example to others. Dayu World seemed to be the one of the masters from Holy Prefecture said. Humph, Tianzhu City wants the forces in Dayu World to yield to them. It won't be that easy, a universe god in the second heaven from Dayu Palace humphed. The universe gods higher-ups in Dayu World united as one against the same enemy. Just then, what made everyone so furious? A calm voice spread and a crimson-robed figure substantiated in the middle of the hall. The universe gods were stunned when they saw the crimson-robed figure. They were having a discussion and they had set up prohibition surrounding the hall, but this person had barged in quietly. You are, the master of Scarlet Island was the first who stood up and looked at the incomer. Jianghu Shuang, it's you? Jianghu Shuang. The master of Dayu Palace and Wu Tsang looked at him too. Haha, master of Scarlet Island, master of Dayu Palace, brother Wu Tsang, long time no see. How have you been? Jianghu Shuang let out a hearty laugh. It's really you, the master of Dayu Palace and Wu Tsang walked down. Jianghu Shuang, long time no see, the master of Scarlet Island was the most surprised one. After all, Jian Wushuang was from Scarlet Island and he carried the secret skill of Scarlet Kingdom. He belonged to lineage of Scarlet. As for the Master of Golden Sun Sect and the few Masters of Holy Prefectures, they didn't look quite good. Jian Wushuang shared resentment with Golden Sun Sect and Holy Prefecture. Especially Golden Sun Sect, as Jian Wushuang killed the Master of Golden Sun Sect's brother. Back then the Master of Golden Sun Sect had wanted to kill Jian Wushuang. But in the end they had had no choice but to get the Master of Dayu Palace involved and settled the resentment between them. As they met again, his emotions were naturally complicated. After a brief exchange of conventional greetings, Jian Wushuang found a seat and sat down casually. Listening to your conversation earlier, Dayu World seems to be in trouble? Jian Wushuang asked casually. Yeah, we ran into some trouble. The Master of Dayu Palace nodded faintly and looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, your aura is distinguished. I can't see through it at all. I believe you must have improved tremendously, right? I did, Jian Wushuang nodded. To what level exactly? Have you passed your third inverse cultivation test? The Master of Dayu Palace asked closely. Yes, I have already passed it, Jian Wushuang answered. That's great. The Master of Dayu Palace was thrilled and the universe gods in the hall beamed with joy. Even the Master of Golden Sun Sect and the few Masters of Holy Prefecture who harbored grudges against Jian Wushuang looked happy too. Jian Wushuang, as you are a cultivator of Dayu World as well, I will be frank with you. About 1,000 years ago, there was a force that rose abruptly near Dayu World. The force called themselves Jianghu City. The Master of Dayu Palace told him the ins and outs of the story. Then Jian Wushuang understood. The danger that Dayu World was facing derived from Jianghu City. Not long ago, Jianghu City had spread news to all forces and sects in Dayu World and over 10 surrounding worlds to yield to them. All worlds naturally wouldn't agree. Hence, Jianghu City wanted to take action and the first was against Dayu World. Then the city was under siege. 6 hours later, the troops from Jianghu City would arrive. Hence, the Master of Dayu Palace had gathered the 3 overlords in Dayu World to unite to fight against Jianghu City. Jianghu City is extremely powerful. It is said that they have more than 10 universe gods in the third heaven and they have more than 1,000 universe gods. Against a powerful force like them, with our strength in Dayu World alone, we wouldn't be evenly matched. But now that Jian Wushuang has returned, it is a different story. The Master of Dayu Palace beamed with joy. Jian Wushuang, you are an inverse cultivator. You should be extremely strong compared to those of the same level. As you have passed your third inverse cultivation test, there shouldn't be any universe gods who are your match. If you were to partake in the battle, we Dayu World might be able to win the battle against Jianghu City. Yes. Wu Tsang, Master of Scarlet Island, and the others nodded simultaneously. Then Jian Wushuang smiled. I was from Dayu World. As Dayu World is in trouble, I naturally couldn't just stand and watch. Everyone heard that Jian Wushuang had agreed to help and they instantly saw a sliver of hope. 6 hours later, the army from Jianghu City really came. In the void outside Dayu Palace, Jianghu City's army gathered. There were at least 4,000 people. Among the 4,000 people, the weakest aura was Universe God in the first heaven. A total of 4,000 Universe Gods. There were over 200 Universe Gods in the second heaven and over 30 Universe Gods in the third heaven. Looking at the sight, the Universe Gods in Dayu World who saw a string of hope earlier, their faces instantly grew pale. As pale as a sheet with no color in their cheeks. How is it possible? How could it be? The Master of Dayu Palace muttered. According to the information, it isn't as such? The others were dumbfounded too. The information that they had obtained about Jianghu City previously had said that they had over 1,000 universe gods and there had less than 10 universe gods in the third heaven. But in the end, Jianghu City's power was a few times greater than what they knew. A few times. If their fighting power was as the information they obtained had said, they might have stood a chance because of Jian Wushuang's return. But then, no hope at all. Although Jian Wushuang has returned, no matter how strong he is, he could at most fight with 10 universe gods in the third heaven alone. The rest of Jianghu City's power could still easily massacre all the experts in Dayu World. Chapter 1787. Master Mr. We're finished, we're really finished. Many universe gods in the Dayu World howled in grief. Just then, a figure appeared out of thin air before the great army of the Jianghu City. It was a black-armored middle-aged man who looked a bit arrogant. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with coldness. After he looked at the universe gods of the Dayu World, he wore a smile that was filled with ridicule. Upon seeing the arrogant middle-aged man, The universe gods of the Dayu world gave up all their hope completely. A real god. They actually had a real god? The Dayu Palace Master gave a bitter smile. Palace Master, shall we surrender? A master from the Holy Prefecture could not help but say. Surrender? Upon hearing that, the expressions of the universe gods present changed. With such a great difference in abilities, they would definitely die if they were to continue going against them. Hence, surrendering was indeed a good idea. It's useless. The Dayu Palace Master forced a smile and shook his head. If the Dayu world had surrendered right away at the start, the Jianghu city might still accept us. However, now, the full force of the Jianghu city is here and even a real god expert has shown himself. As such, what they want now is no longer the Dayu world surrendering. Instead, they want to destroy the Dayu world completely and frighten the other regions. Hence, even if we were to surrender now, they would definitely not accept it. Then what can we do? The universe gods in the Dayu world started to feel anxious. What else can we do? The Dayu Palace Master said with grief, all of you, as soon as the Jianghu city makes a move later on, please escape straight away. I hope that as many of you as possible can escape. We shall not resist them fearlessly as it would be useless. Everyone became silent. Brother Wu Tsang, for you to come this time around, I am extremely grateful to you. If we really fight later on, please leave quickly as well, the Dayu Palace Master said. Dayu, Wu Tsang sighed lightly, I'm sorry that I'm unable to help you in this battle. The Dayu Palace Master waved his hands and did not have any intention of blaming Wu Tsang. After that he looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, you should not have returned during this period of time, Dayu Palace Master, the great battle has yet to begin. Thus you should not be so pessimistic. What if there are some other unforeseen events? Jian Wushuang laughed. I really admire you for still being able to joke around at this period of time. The Dayu Palace Master was in sorrow. However, at that moment, Palace Master, look, an alarmed cry could be heard abruptly. The Dayu Palace Master, Wu Tsang, and the large number of universe gods present looked over immediately. With that, all their eyes shrank fiercely. From the void far away, two figures were speeding over. Although they had not reached them yet, their two frightening auras had already spread across the area. Among the two auras, one was that of a universe god of the third heaven while the other was that of a real god expert. This is, the Dayu Palace Master was puzzled. No one else understood either. However, the two figures had already appeared in front of the great army of the Jianghu city. The eyes of the cold youth who was carrying a sword in his hand and emitting the aura of a universe god of the third heaven were ice cold. As he passed by the great army of the Jianghu city, his ice-cold voice resounded across the universe. Jianghu city, leave immediately. If not, die. The voice was like the fury of a thunderbolt and it did not dissipate even after a long time. Upon hearing the voice, the large number of universe gods of the Dayu world became extremely dumbfounded. Who are they? The Dayu Palace Master opened his eyes wide. From the looks of it, the other party obviously wanted to force the Jianghu city to retreat. However, he had never seen those two people before. Hence, it was impossible for him to have friendly relations with them. Why would they help him for no reason? As for the large number of universe gods in the Jianghu city, all of them were enraged. The leader of the Jianghu city, the black-armored middle-aged man, became furious right away. Where did this reckless idiot who dared to be impudent in front of my Jianghu city's great army come from? Men, kill him. Tens of universe gods of the third heaven of the Jianghu city attacked with lightning speed at once. Since you are unwilling to retreat, you shall die. A voice that was filled with shocking murderous intent could be heard from the cold youth. At the next moment, his sword came out of its scabbard and he attacked with his sword immediately. As for the beautiful woman beside him who had already reached the level of a real god, she did not move. A great battle burst forth instantly. Swish! A crimson sword shadow which was filled with an infinite amount of murderous intent and looked as if it came from the abysmal hell attacked. The sword light flew wantonly and swept past the bodies of 6 universe gods of the third heavens instantly. With that, 6 bodies fell at the same time. After that, the cold youth unleashed another stroke. With the same stroke, a few icy cold bodies fell again. With one face-off, the tens of universe gods of the third heaven which had headed for the cold youth were killed. How is this possible? He is so powerful. Such a scene caused everyone to be dumbfounded. The leader of the Jianghu city flew into a rage at once. Die. Boom. The aura of a real god was unleashed. The leader of the Jianghu city took action personally and he headed for the cold youth. With a real god coming personally, everyone in the Dayu world thought that the cold youth would retreat and the beautiful woman behind him, who was also a real god, would fight. However, in actual fact, the cold youth did not even retreat by a half a step. He still held his sword and continued to fight with the leader of the Jianghu city alone. The end results were, everyone present became silent. The whole universe became deathly silent. It was extremely silent. Dead? A real god was actually killed by a universe god on the spot? How is this possible? If not for them seeing it with their own eyes, almost no one present would think that it was true. After killing the leader of the Jianghu city, the cold youth spoke again, scram. Although it was just one word, it contained an enormous amount of prestige. The large number of universe gods from the Jianghu city had already been shocked to the point that they had lost their courage. As such, they escaped in all directions at once. In just an instant, the great army of the Jianghu city, which was originally vast and mighty, escaped, and not even a single one of them was left. The Dayu world's danger this time around was taken care of easily, just like that. What exactly is going on? The large number of universe gods of the Dayu world had not even reacted yet. No idea. The Dayu Palace Master also nodded his head repeatedly. To date, he still did not know who those two experts were and why they helped his Dayu world. He only knew that among the two experts, only one of them was sent out. Moreover, it was a universe god. However, even with that, he threw the great army of the Jianghu city, which had caused all the powerhouses in the Dayu world to give up all hope into chaos. Killing a real god with the power of a universe god. This is a real super expert. In the whole Snow Kingdom, no, in the whole eternal chaotic world, he is definitely a top genius. Such a super expert has actually come to our Dayu world? The Dayu Palace Master murmured. At the next moment he reacted. Brother Wu Tsang, Jian Wushuang, and everyone present, quick, follow me to greet those two people together, the Dayu Palace Master said immediately. Everyone present had planned to go and greet them. Only Jian Wushuang laughed instead. No need. They will come here themselves. As expected, the two experts who had defeated the great army of the Jianghu city were already flying toward them, and in an instant, they appeared in front of them. Greetings to two lords from Dayu as well as the large number of universe gods of the Dayu world. Thank you so much for helping my Dayu world to resolve our danger this time around. My Dayu world is extremely grateful to the two of you, the Dayu Palace Master said. At the same time, he, as well as everyone else beside him, bowed to the people who had come with respect. Everyone bowed to greet them. Only Jian Wushuang remained standing indifferently. Both his hands were also behind his back and he had no intention of greeting them. Jian Wushuang, please greet them quickly, the Dayu Palace Master lowered his voice and shouted. Jian Wushuang, Wu Tsang and the Scarlet Island Master urged as well. Greet them? Jian Wushuang stroked his own nose and he had a puzzled expression. At that moment, the two experts who had defeated the great army of the Jianghu city and caused the Dayu Palace Master, Wu Tsang and the rest of the people to revere them lowered their heads at the same time. Greetings to Master from your disciple. Greetings to Mr. from your maid. They did not conceal their voices at all and their voices resounded across the quiet void. The Dayu Palace Master, Wu Tsang and the rest of the people who were originally urging Jian Wushuang to greet them immediately were all dumbfounded. Chapter 1788 Disciple, Maidservan? Master? Mr.? The universe gods in Dayu world were confused. They wondered who were they greeting. Just as they looked in the direction they bowed at, they saw Jian Wushuang who stood there proudly. They were astonished by the sight. The two of them were bowing at Jian Wushuang? It's impossible. Everyone found it unbelievable. Until Jian Wushuang waved, get up. The two of them immediately got up and stood behind Jian Wushuang politely. Looking at the sight, no matter how stupid a person was, they should be able to tell that the person that the two of them bowed to humbly was Jian Wushuang. Wushuang, my friend, what's going on? The master of Dayu Palace asked with his eyes wide. He even changed the way he called Jian Wushuang immediately. He had called Jian Wushuang by his name earlier and he had talked to Jian Wushuang on equal terms. However, in his voice then there was reverence and respect. Everyone else looked at Jian Wushuang simultaneously. They were all confused and hoped that Jian Wushuang would clarify. Let me introduce to you, Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He first pointed at the cold-looking young man carrying a sword. It was the cold-looking young man who had killed many universe gods in the third heaven from Jianghu city alone. He also killed the leader of Jianghu city, a real god expert. He is Hishio, he's my disciple, Jian Wushuang said casually. Hishio smiled and nodded at everyone in respect. He could tell that his master was friends with the surrounding people. His master who was a superb existence who spoke modestly when he talked to the universe gods. He naturally didn't dare to act haughtily. He's your disciple? The master of Dayu Palace gulped. Wuxuang, my friend, you are so lucky. You found such a monstrous lineal disciple, Wu Tsang complimented with envy. He Xiao immediately corrected when he heard that. You misunderstood. I am only master's registered disciple. As for lineal disciple, I'm afraid I do not qualify with my current ability. The universe gods from Dayu world gawked at his correction. Such an unbelievable genius, even in the core of the 10 sanctuaries in eternal chaotic world, they reckoned he would be a super genius as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. But he was only Jian Wushuang's registered disciple? He didn't even qualify to be his lineal disciple? Is this a joke? Wushuang, my friend, this is. The master of Dayu Palace looked at Qiuyu by the side. She is Qiuyu, she's my maidservant, Jian Wushuang said. Maidservant? The universe gods felt their throats grow dry. He Xiao, a universe god who had killed a real god and was definitely a super genius in their eyes, was only Jian Wushuang's registered disciple. The real god expert who looked slightly stronger than the master of Jianghu city, was only Jian Wushuang's maidservant? Then Jian Wushuang, who was He Xiao's master and Qiuyu's mister, just how strong was he? Everyone couldn't help but look at Jian Wushuang. Their gazes were different from before. Just then swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. There were suddenly 5 figures that sped over from afar. Among the 5 figures, there were 4 universe gods in the 3rd heaven and the one leading was a woman in red, a real god. The 5 figures stopped in the void in front of Jian Wushuang and they bowed simultaneously. I am Fenyu under the monarch of Snow Kingdom, greetings. What's the matter? Jian Wushuang glanced at the woman in red. He could get down from his high horse before the master of Dayu Palace, Wu Tsang, the master of Scarlet Kingdom because of their relationship before. However, to Fenyu, who he didn't share any relationship with, he behaved differently. The woman in red, Fenyu, took a deep breath and replied politely, Mister, we came under the order of the monarch. We rushed over from the nearby territory at our fastest speed possible. The monarch knows that Dayu world shared a close relationship with you and he heard of the Jianghu city's plan to come to attack. He was worried that you couldn't make it in time to Dayu world, so he sent us to dismiss Jianghu city. But he never expected Mister to arrive before us. I see, Jian Wushuang understood. He could tell that the monarch of Snow Kingdom cared about his matter a lot. Mister, although Jianghu city's troop has retreated, they offended you and they shall not be forgiven. The monarch has already sent 3 real gods with the 10th and 11th troops to destroy Jianghu city entirely within 10 days. They will exterminate all higher-ups, Fenyu reported. You can take care of that, Jian Wushuang waved. Yes, Fenyu nodded politely. The universe gods in Dayu world saw the sight and they were dumbfounded. Real god Fenyu? The 2nd military commander of Snow Kingdom? Wu Tsang looked at Fenyu and he looked surprised. Snow Kingdom was a huge holy kingdom and they ruled countless worlds. The monarch of Snow Kingdom mainly controlled over the holy kingdom and he naturally required a huge troop. It was said that Snow Kingdom had 20 military troops in total and every troop had 10,000 soldiers. All the soldiers were made of universe gods. The 20 military troops were under the command of 4 commanders. In terms of position, even Master of Silence Gloriette from Snow Dojo was slightly below them. Real God Fenyu was one of the 4 commanders. She was truly a big figure and such a big figure was behaving so politely before Jian Wushuang. Then Real God Fenyu looked at Wu Tsang and she flashed a gentle smile. You must be Mr. Wu Tsang, right? Wu Tsang, mister? Wu Tsang was shocked. He was only a universe god in the 3rd heaven. Even when he was a golden deacon in Snow Dojo, he definitely wasn't in the eyes of Real God Fenyu. But then, not only had Real God Fenyu called him by his name, she had referred him as Mr. Mister? It was an extremely respectful title. Normally, they would only refer to someone stronger than themselves as Mr., or at least someone who was on equal level. But then, I am, Wu Tsang nodded. According to the monarch's order, from today on, Mr. Wu Tsang will be Snow Kingdom's guest. Your position is equal to Master of Silence Gloriette from Snow Dojo. Not only ago, there was a lineal disciple of his who offended Mr. Wu Tsang. The lineal disciple was captured and imprisoned in the prison of Snow Sacred Land. As for his punishment, whether to keep him alive or dead will be decided by Mr. Wu Tsang, Fenyu said with a smile. Wu Tsang was dumbfounded by her comment. He had been kicked out from Snow Sacred Land because he had offended the lineal disciple and he was told to not step foot there anymore. But then the change was too drastic. Of course, he knew clearly that, with him alone or even 10 of him combined, he wouldn't have such power. There was only one person possibly with such power at the scene. Wuxia couldn't help but look at the person. This person was, of course, Jianghu Shuang. Chapter 1789 The Frightening Spacetime Storm. Lord, the monarch wanted me to give you this token. Fan Yu handed a token to Jianghu Shuang with respect. This is the token to control the 10th Legion. After the 10th Legion has completely destroyed the Jianghu city, they will be stationed near the Dayu world throughout the year. Hence, by using this token, Lord can mobilize the 10th Legion to do anything. Of course, Lord's abilities are monstrous. In Lord's hands, the 10th Legion will probably be destroyed with a flip of a palm. However, it is impossible for Lord to do everything himself. With the 10th Legion showing up on your behalf in the Snow Kingdom, there will be less trouble for you. In addition, you can also give this token to your loved ones or friends. Similarly, they can mobilize the 10th Legion as well. Even if you were to leave with the 10th Legion at hand, no one would dare to disrespect your loved ones and friends. For example, it will be impossible for today's matter, where the great army of the Jianghu city fought all their way here, to happen again. Understood. Help me to thank the monarch of the Snow Kingdom for his good intentions by saying that I will accept this token. Jianghu Shuang nodded his head and said. Seeing that Jianghu Shuang had accepted the token, Fan Yu became delighted at once. As for Jianghu Shuang, he turned his head to look at a person beside him. Scarlet Island Master. Lo, Lord, the Scarlet Island Master said with respect immediately. Jianghu Shuang forced a smile. I was born in the Scarlet Island and I am also someone from the bloodline of Scarlet. Hence, you do not need to be so respectful to me. Understood, the Scarlet Island Master nodded his head. However, his expression was still respectful like before. With regards to that, Jianghu Shuang stopped forcing him. I am thankful to the Scarlet Island for protecting me back then when I came out from my hometown and was traveling in the Dayu world. Therefore, I shall give you this token now. Jianghu Shuang tossed the token to the Scarlet Island Master. Such a scene caused the eyes of quite a number of the surrounding universe gods to turn red. It should be known that the token was the token to control the 10th Legion. With the token on hand, one would be able to mobilize the whole 10th Legion. That was 10,000 universe gods. Moreover, they were elites. In addition, they were proficient in group attacks and their formations as well as fighting capabilities were extremely powerful. For example, the 10th Legion could destroy a powerhouse like the Jianghu city easily. By being able to control such a powerful force, the power that the Scarlet Island Master possessed surpassed that of the Jianghu city when it was at its peak instantly. In the future, even if it were the Dayu Palace Master who was the most powerful person in the Dayu world, he would also need to lower his head when facing the Scarlet Island. Alright. During this period of time, did Big Brother Fiery King return to the Scarlet Island at all? Jianghu Shuang asked. He had returned before. However, that was 20,000 years ago. Moreover, he only stayed for a short period of time. After leaving some resources for the Scarlet Island, he left and continued to travel, the Scarlet Island Master said at once. Oh. Jianghu Shuang raised his eyebrows and looked at the surrounding people right away. Everyone, I am in a rush to return to my hometown to take a look. Hence, I cannot accompany all of you any longer. Lord, please have a safe trip. Fan Yu saluted immediately and sent him off. The Dayu Palace Master Wuxia, the Scarlet Island Master and the rest of the people looked on with respect as Jianghu Shuang and his people left. After Jianghu Shuang and his people were far away, the large number of universe gods present heaved a sigh of relief. Those universe gods were looking at each other and they only felt that they were still in their dreams. Lord Fan Yu, Wuxia spoke with respect carefully. Mr. Wuxia, you do not need to be so modest. You can just call me by my name. Otherwise, you can also call me Military Commander, Fan Yu laughed gently. He knew that Wuxia, as well as quite a number of people present, were on good terms with the Lord from before. Although they were not really very close to one another where they were sworn friends, as long as they were on good terms, they were worthy of being treated earnestly by the monarch of the Snow Kingdom, let alone him. Military Commander. Wuxia took a deep breath and asked, what exactly is Jianghu Shuang's current identity? Why are you so respectful of him? Moreover, from the looks of it, even the monarch is paying a lot of attention to him. Paying attention to him? Fan Yu laughed. Mr. Wuxia, you're wrong. The monarch is not paying attention to Lord Jianghu Shuang. Instead, he is respecting him. Respecting him? Wuxia was stunned. The Dayu Palace Master and his group of people around the area looked over with astonishment. What kind of existence was the monarch of the Snow Kingdom? Even with that, he still revered Jianghu Shuang? Let me tell all of you the truth. The Lord just now has already achieved the level of an almighty. Feng Yu said earnestly. Almighty? Everyone was puzzled. However, Wu Tsang and the Dayu Palace Master were dumbfounded. The two of them had a lot of experience and they knew what an almighty meant. It was a supreme existence of the eternal chaotic world. For such a super existence, a real god would normally kneel down if he were to see them. Even if it were a chaotic real god like the monarch of the Snow Kingdom, he was merely an ant to an almighty. No wonder. No wonder even the monarch of the Snow Kingdom would be so fearful and respectful of him. So Jianghu Shuang has already become an almighty? In just tens of thousands of years, the little kid from back then has actually grown to such a level? Wu Tsang and the Dayu Palace Master were filled with disbelief. After leaving the Dayu Palace, Jianghu Shuang rode the spaceship to his hometown, the Green Fire World, immediately. In the void, which was in complete darkness, an ancient spaceship was moving hastily. Inside the spaceship's cabin. I'm almost there. I'm almost home. Jianghu Shuang clenched both his fists and his expression was obviously filled with excitement. This caused He Xiao and Xiao Yu, who were at the side, to be extremely surprised. It was their first time seeing Jianghu Shuang so excited. On normal days, Jianghu Shuang had never been so excited before, even when he had made a huge breakthrough or achieved some kind of opportunity. They were totally unable to understand Jianghu Shuang's current feelings. The Green Fire World was his hometown. It was his roots. That place was the very center of his life. No matter how high his abilities rose to or what place he would go to in the future, all of them would always be incomparable to the Green Fire World. Moreover, he had left his own hometown for far too long. It was reckoned to be more than 50,000 years. After so many years, Jianghu Shuang also had no idea how his hometown was doing. He had no idea how his parents, his brothers, his loved ones and good friends were doing. Just a while more and I will be able to return to see all of you. Jianghu Shuang murmured as he recalled the memories in his head. In no time, Jianghu Shuang came before the vast spacetime storm which his hometown, the Green Fire World, was at. In the spacetime, which was already distorted completely, there was a frightening storm rolling about madly. Back then when Jianghu Shuang had come out of the Green Fire World, he had been shocked when he saw the spacetime storm as he absolutely could not see its edge at all. However, at that time, I am actually unable to see the edge already? It's too big. This spacetime storm is too big. How much distance has it covered? Moreover, how strong is the power it contains? Jianghu Shuang was filled with shock and his heart twitched continuously. At that moment, he was a top existence in the eternal chaotic world and his name was on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. However, when he saw the spacetime storm, he still could not help but have jitters. Chapter 1790 Home. Even Jianghu Shuang was astonished, let alone He Xiao and Xiao Yu. Master, what are we doing here in front of the spacetime storm? He Xiao couldn't help but ask. My hometown is in the spacetime storm, Jianghu Shuang said. What? He Xiao and Xiao Yu were shocked. In such a terrifying spacetime storm, would there be a world where human resided in? How was it possible? Disciple Xiao Yu, Jianghu Shuang looked at them, follow me in later. But after you enter, no matter what you see, do not reveal it to anyone in the future. Otherwise, even though the two of you are close to me, I will definitely kill you. I will obey Master's order. He Xiao and Xiao Yu nodded heavily. Both of them worshipped and were in awe of Jianghu Shuang. Plus, Jianghu Shuang had given them a new lease on life. They definitely wouldn't go against Jianghu Shuang's order. Come on, let's head in. Jianghu Shuang immediately drove the ancient spaceship towards the spacetime storm. The spacetime storm was terrifying, but the spaceship was equally barbaric. It hit a hole in the spacetime storm forcefully and the spaceship was immersed into the spacetime storm. In the cabin, Jianghu Shuang spread his soul power and felt the power of the surrounding spacetime storm. The power is so scary. Luckily, the spacetime storm formed a balance long ago. Otherwise, if it were to explode, it could even turn Snow Kingdom into ashes in a split second. Even I do not stand a chance to survive the spacetime storm, Jianghu Shuang muttered. However, due to the existence of the spacetime storm, his hometown was never exposed. On the battlefield where his hometown was located, there shouldn't be a second person who knew besides King Gu Tong. The ancient spaceship continued to plunge to the other side of the spacetime storm. Just as the spaceship drove past the entire spacetime storm, a huge formation appeared before Jianghu Shuang. Jianghu Shuang saw the formation and he revealed a wide smile. The formation was created by his master Xian Yi. Then the cultivators in Green Fire Palace and him set it up. When the formation was first set up, Jian Wushuang could tell the formation was unusual. Then when he saw it again he was even more astonished. The formation was far more sturdy than his had imagined. Plus, the formation had blended into the spacetime storm completely and driven the entire spacetime storm. Unless one possessed the power to move the spacetime storm, no one could move the formation, not even Jian Wushuang. However, Jian Wushuang was one of the people who had set up the formation and he was from Green Fire World. Naturally, the formation wouldn't hinder him. Jian Wushuang waved and a bolt of divine power appeared in the huge formation in front of him. The formation suddenly shook and there was a space tunnel that appeared. Through the space tunnel, Jian Wushuang drove the spaceship and entered the huge battlefield where his hometown was located. Even after he entered, Palace Master Yun in Green Fire World, who had been using the formation to keep watch of experts who entered from outside world, didn't notice at all. That day Jian Wushuang, who had left Green Fire World for more than 50,000 years, returned. It was still the same boundless battlefield. When the spaceship appeared on the battlefield, Jian Wushuang immediately put the spaceship into Chen Kuan Ring and he stepped foot into the void. Jian Wushuang towered in the void as he looked at the surroundings. The familiar battlefield and the familiar aura made Jian Wushuang take a deep breath. But suddenly Jian Wushuang looked surprised. That's not right. The soul aura on the battlefield. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes. He could feel the abundant spiritual energy of the battlefield. The intensity of spiritual energy was stronger by 100-fold or even 1,000-fold compared to when he had left back then. So intense. Even Dayu World and Snow Kingdom didn't have such intense spiritual energy as the battlefield did. He was guessing that only spiritual energy in the 10 sanctuaries would be that intense. How could it be? Jian Wushuang creased his eyebrows. The intensity of spiritual energy represented the worth of a cultivation realm. To cultivate at a place with intense spiritual energy, the effect was naturally better than at other places. Like 10 cultivation sanctuaries in Eternal Chaotic World, the reason why people yearned to visit it was not only because it was highly concentrated with experts but because the spiritual energy was the most intense in the entire Eternal Chaotic World. Hence, its name of Cultivation Sanctuaries. But then, on the battlefield where Green Fire World was, the intensity of spiritual energy could barely be compared to favorably with the 10 sanctuaries. The battlefield should be from ancient times and it is extraordinary. In the tens of thousands of years when I left Green Fire World, the battlefield in Green Fire World definitely went through some incident. Jian Wushuang's face grew solemn. Disciple Qiuyu, let's go, Jian Wushuang beckoned. Xiao and Qiuyu could feel the spiritual energy that the battlefield contained as well and they were amazed but they didn't ask any questions. They heard Jian Wushuang and they followed Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang knew which part of the battlefield he had landed on and he knew where Green Fire Palace was. He didn't delay any further but walked to Green Fire Palace. Soon he arrived at Green Fire Palace in front of the huge war fortress. The huge war fortress was covered in layers of formation. The formations carried power to a certain extent. It was at least a few times stronger than the formation that Jian Wushuang had set up before he left. Any layer of the formations could hinder an ordinary universe god. When Green Fire Palace had had a war with Jin Kingdom 50,000 years ago, Green Fire Palace had such a huge formation. There had been no need for them to pay such a great price to defeat Jin Kingdom. Jian Wushuang stood in the void and overlooked the war fortress. He swept out his soul power and covered the entire war fortress. Although the war fortress could hinder ordinary universe gods, it was merely nominal to Jian Wushuang. His soul power could see through the internals of the war fortress clearly. The auras were in the war fortress. Jian Wushuang saw a few auras that he was familiar with and he was thrilled. However, the few auras were much stronger than before. Haha, it seems that in the tens of thousands of years when I was away, Green Fire Palace has been through drastic changes. The overall power has increased tremendously. Jian Wushuang felt the auras below and revealed a smile. Chapter 1791. Your son has returned. In the past, the strongest people in the Green Fire Palace were the Universe Masters. Moreover, there were so little Universe Masters that it was pathetic. Before Jian Wushuang had risen to prominence, the Green Fire Palace had only had 5 Universe Masters. As for Heaven Masters, there were only about 200 of them. Such fighting capabilities were so weak that it was depressing. Due to that, they were forced by the Jin Kingdom to be unable to compete against the Jin Kingdom even after paying huge prices in the final great battle. If not for Jian Wushuang making a breakthrough at the critical moment in the end and killing the monarch of the Jin Kingdom who was at the level of a universe god of the first heaven, the Green Fire Palace would have been destroyed a long time ago. Moreover, the Green Fire World would definitely not exist either. However, on that very day after tens of thousands of years, the Green Fire Palace was a lot more powerful than before. At that moment, among the large number of cultivators who were gathered in the war fortress below, there was actually a total of 18 universe gods of the first heaven. As for universe masters, they were everywhere. If not for him knowing that the big formation that Shen Yi had deployed was still present and that no one from the outside was able to come in, Jian Wushuang would really suspect that the current Green Fire world was occupied by the powerhouses which came from the eternal chaotic world. Both of you wait for me here. After giving out his instructions, Jian Wushuang floated toward the Green Fire Palace below. In an open space in the Green Fire Palace, a fatty who wore a luxurious, loose and long robe was lying down and drinking wine. Beside him stood a bald-headed old man. Boring. The days are getting more and more boring. The fatty was drinking wine and he felt extremely gloomy. I have told you before that this world is too small and you should travel in a universe that is more vast. With that, it will be more interesting. However, you refuse to listen. As of now, it will not be so easy to leave even if you want to, the bald-headed old man said. How would I know that things would become like this? The fatty curled his lips. If I had known that this would be the case, I would have gone along with old 3 to travel outside 50,000 years ago. Stop complaining. It's useless even if you complain, the bald-headed old man said furiously. Ah, the fatty sighed and his eyes filled with recollection. Speaking of old 3, I wonder how he is doing outside. And now, I wonder what level he has achieved? Stop thinking about that brother of yours. The universe of the outside world is filled with danger. When he left, he barely possessed the fighting capabilities of a universe god. In the outside world, there are countless people who can kill him. Now that tens of thousands of years have passed, who knows if he is still alive? What an inauspicious remark. Old 3 is so impressive, he must still be alive. Moreover, he will definitely return in the future. The fatty had absolute confidence in old 3. Just then, Boss Wang Yuan, a voice could be heard abruptly. Hey, who called me? The fatty was stunned. This voice is so familiar. It's old 3's voice. The fatty stood up abruptly. In front of him, a figure came into view slowly. It had a familiar face and aura. It was the old 3 who the fatty had mentioned. Old 3, it's really you? Wang Yuan revealed a delighted expression at once. At the same time, he pinched his own face as he wanted to find out whether he was dreaming. I'm not dreaming. It's real. Great. Wang Yuan laughed loudly and his huge body ran toward Jian Wushuang immediately. Without hesitation, he hugged Jian Wushuang. Boss Wang Yuan, even after not seeing you for so many years, you are still the same as before and you are still so smooth and round as well, Jian Wushuang teased, and he had an extremely good mood. Boss Wang Yuan? He was his genuine good brother who had gone through thick and thin with him. Old 3, let's find a place and have a good drink. Wang Yuan took Jian Wushuang and headed to the imperial palaces, which was far away. No problem, let's get the rest of the people as well, Jian Wushuang laughed. As the bald-headed old man who was by the side looked on as Wang Yuan and Jian Wushuang left, he became dumbfounded. This Jian Wushuang has actually returned for real? Moreover, his aura. The bald-headed old man squinted his eyes slightly. The bald-headed old man was a weapons spirit of the Loyalty Palace and he had always followed Wang Yuan. As for the Loyalty Palace, it was born from the ancient battlefield nearby. Hence, the bald-headed old man was extremely knowledgeable. He could tell that Jian Wushuang's current aura was many times more powerful than it had been before. In no time, the news of Jian Wushuang's return spread with shocking speed. In a split second, the whole Green Fire Palace and the whole Green Fire world were in an uproar. Jian Wushuang had become a legend in the Green Fire world a long time ago. Even though tens of thousands of years had passed, this legend was still imprinted in the minds of many people, especially those experts who had gone through the decisive battle with the Jin Kingdom. That great battle had depended on Jian Wushuang's power alone to save all of them from a desperate crisis. In a vast courtyard, a large number of people had gathered. Most of them were the experts who had gone through that battle. Quite a number of them had interacted with Jian Wushuang before, and at that moment, they were chatting with Jian Wushuang joyfully and harmoniously. Old 3. An extremely emotional voice could be heard. After hearing the voice, Jian Wushuang looked over. When he saw the extremely beautiful black-robed young lady, he revealed an elated smile. Ha, old 4. The two of them hugged each other right away. To Jian Wushuang, Su Ro was like his biological sister. In no time, Xueling Tian brought a woman over. Xueling Tian was Jian Wushuang's brother and he was also Shen Yi's lineal disciple. He also had an extremely good relationship with Jian Wushuang. Upon seeing his own senior, Jian Wushuang was also extremely delighted. As for that woman, she cried tears of joy the moment she saw Jian Wushuang. At the same time she knelt down. Greetings to Master from your disciple Lin Lan. Master, you have finally returned. Little girl, please get up. Jian Wushuang laughed and waved his hands. In his life he had only accepted 2 people as his disciple. In particular, Lin Lan was the first disciple he accepted. She was also someone who Jian Wushuang owed greatly. Because he, a master, had almost never guided Lin Lan before. He only gave her some resources so that she would grow by herself. It should be known that for He Xiu, his registered disciple, he would give him some advice occasionally back when they were in the lineage of Star. However, Lin Lan did not disappoint Jian Wushuang as well. In terms of realm, she had become a universe master. Although that naturally meant nothing in the eternal chaotic world, it was already very shocking in the green fire world. Jian Wushuang was chatting with his senior and disciple. At the same time he was asking them something about the ancient sect. With the disappearance of Master Shen Yi and him leaving the green fire world, the ancient sect had always been under Shui Lingshan's control and everything was alright. Just then, all of a sudden, a man and woman appeared in the courtyard. As the 2 of them appeared, the voice of Jian Wushuang, who was chatting with Shui Lingtian, disappeared. He then stood up and he looked at the 2 of them with mixed feelings. Similarly, the man and the woman were looking closely at Jian Wushuang. Father, mother? Your son has returned. Chapter 1792 Shocking Change. The courtyard was in total silence. Before everyone's gazes, a man and woman walked forward slowly. Jian Nantian with silvery white hair gave out a unique aura. He extended his hand to pat Jian Wushuang's shoulder. It's great to have you back, Jian Nantian smiled. Looking at his smile, Jian Wushuang felt his body and mind relax. Then Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming sat in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was surprised as he noticed his father's aura. The aura was the strongest out of everyone at the scene. Universe God in the second heaven? Jian Wushuang was astonished. Forget about the fact that there were many universe gods in the first heaven. His father had become a universe god in the second heaven? Father, everyone, what happened? How can all of your powers increase so tremendously? The spiritual energy in this battlefield, how did it become this intense? Jian Wushuang asked. Listening to Jian Wushuang's questions, everyone exchanged a look and Wang Yuan laughed. Old 3, we must give credit to your master for the battlefield's transformation. My master? Jian Wushuang was stunned and he instantly responded, could it be the formation that my master created? Yes, that formation, Wang Yuan smiled. 50,000 years ago your mysterious master disappeared but he passed you a formation. Then, you and Palace Master Yun from Green Fire World, and also the higher-ups, set up the formation. Then, the formation became the biggest defense for Green Fire World. Without Green Fire Palace's permission, no one could barge into the battlefield. Seems like the invasion of Jin Kingdom definitely won't happen again. However, the power of the formation doesn't just stop there. After the formation was set up, which was after you left, the battlefield, including the spiritual energy in Green Fire World, slowly became more intense under the influence of the formation. In the beginning, the spiritual energy didn't increase much, but as time went by, the spiritual energy grew more and more intense. Now, the spiritual energy in the battlefield has increased by 1,000-fold compared to before. As for Green Fire World, the battlefield gave birth to Green Fire World and the transformation was even greater. You don't know. The spiritual energy in Green Fire World is 3 times more intense than the battlefield. Jian Wushuang was astonished. He could feel that the intensity of spiritual energy in the battlefield could be compared favorably with the 10 sanctuaries. But Green Fire World was 3 times stronger than the battlefield? How intense would it be? The cultivation environment in Green Fire World already overtook the 10 sanctuaries? Jian Wushuang muttered in disbelief. Besides, although the spiritual energy is much stronger than before, the battlefield, including Green Fire World, is in constant change. The intensity of the spiritual energy is constantly rising. Such intense spiritual energy naturally raises the probability of experts. Hence, in the 50,000 years that you were away, there was a big bunch of experts that flourished in Green Fire World. 50,000 years ago, Doctrine Masters were already considered as the top experts in Green Fire World. However, in Green Fire World now there are Doctrine Masters all over. It was nothing. Even Heaven Master is not considered as a top expert in Green Fire World. Those who were qualified to stand at the peak would be Universe Master and Universe Gods. Now Green Fire World has more than 30 Universe Gods. However, they are mostly Universe Gods in the first heaven. Only your father alone is extremely talented and stepped into Universe God in the second heaven, Wang Yuan said. Jian Wushuang was amazed. The cultivation environment determined the standard and quality of expert from a place. Then, the cultivation environment in Greenfire World was much stronger by a few hundred, even a few thousand times. Naturally, the experts born were many more. Plus, there were many cultivators in Greenfire World, but they didn't have anyone to guide them? Previously, the strongest in Greenfire World was only a Universe Master. As for anything above Universe Master, no one knew how to cultivate or improve. They had merely depended on themselves to explore and comprehend. At most, they could receive some pointers from the surrounding ancient battlefields, but the pointers weren't complete. Under such circumstances, Greenfire World could reach such a level in 50,000 years. If they were to receive complete guidance from universe gods, real gods or even almighties, and they continued to propagate in the next 10,000 or 100,000 years, just how great would it be? Jian Wushuang was already amazed by the thought itself. Jian Wushuang, your hometown might stand a chance to become a new sanctuary, or even higher. King of Venomous Worms' solemn voice rang in Jian Wushuang's head. Jian Wushuang took another deep breath and calmed himself down from the surprise. Oh yeah, it has been so long. I didn't know you happened to visit too. Where's old two? Also, Tang Emperor and Uncle Xiao? Why aren't they here? Jian Wushuang asked with a smile. However, the moment he brought up about old two, Wang Yuan and Su Rao's faces stiffened. The surrounding people's faces changed. Why? Wang Yuan, Su Rao and the other people at the scene naturally couldn't hide from Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang creased his eyebrows. What happened? Old 3, Wang Yuan paused and then clenched his teeth as he said, Old 2, he died. What? Jian Wushuang's face changed. Not just Old 2 but also Emperor Tang and Emperor Xiao. Both of them died too, Wang Yuan continued. Jian Wushuang couldn't hold back anymore when he heard that. Died? Old 2, Emperor Tang and Uncle Xiao died? How is it possible? Jian Wushuang's eyes were bloodshot. His roar reverberated in the courtyard and he looked almost mad. He couldn't be blamed. The 3 people that had died were too important to him. Old 2 Yang Zishuan was his brother. The same had happened to Wang Yuan and Su Rao. They were sworn brothers and sisters. They had been through life and death situations and shared an intimate relationship. Uncle Xiao, also Emperor Xiao. When he was weak, Emperor Xiao had treated him with kindness. Besides, he had another identity. He was also Leng Rushuang's father, his father-in-law. As for Emperor Tang, he was the founder of Tang of the East. He was also one of the most ancient experts in Greenfire World. Back then, Jian Wushuang had yet to rise up and there had only been 5 Universe Masters who were in commanding positions. Among the 5 of Universe Masters, there were 4 who had died. Only Emperor Tang was alive. He was the only survivor. Then even the last ancient existence had died too? Who was it? Who killed them? Furious, Jian Wushuang was filled with rage. Jian Wushuang was raging with anger. Chapter 1793 13 Devil Bloods. Before Jian Wushuang left, the Tang Emperor, Emperor Xiao and Yang Zishuan were already at a level higher than that of a Dao Master. They had a long lifespan and they would definitely not die a normal death in just tens of thousands of years. Since that was the case, there was only one possibility. They were killed by someone else. Who was it? Jian Wushuang looked at Wang Yuan with his eyes filled with hatred to the point that they were about to crack. Wang Yuan's expression had a ghastly pale expression and he only spoke after a long time. The people who killed second brother, Elder Tang Emperor and Emperor Xiao, were the 13 Devil Bloods. The 13 Devil Bloods? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes slightly. When he was still in the Greenfire World back then, he had never heard of the 13 Devil Bloods. Old 3, please calm down. I will fill you in slowly, Wang Yuan said. Jian Wushuang suppressed his fury and murderous intent forcefully to calm himself down so that he could listen to Wang Yuan. I have just told you. After you left, the Greenfire World underwent a great change where an unending stream of experts were born. Second brother is extremely talented and he is only inferior to you among the 4 of us. As for Elder Tang Emperor and Emperor Xiao, they were the earliest batch of experts and their abilities rose the most. Moreover, as the Greenfire World had just experienced a great battle with the Jing Kingdom, many experts were extremely united. Hence, at the start, everything was going in the right direction. However, thousands of years ago, the Greenfire World underwent a great change and the 13 Devil Bloods appeared. There is a total of 13 people in the 13 Devil Bloods and they did not have any reputation in the past. After they appeared, they fought all the way into Tang of the East. Tang of the East had long been the Green Fire world's first country and its abilities were extremely powerful. Moreover, with the second brother, the Tang Emperor, Emperor Shao and other similar experts keeping watch, Tang of the East was rightfully impregnable. However, in the end, Tang of the East was massacred by the 13 Devil Bloods easily. In the end, Elder Tang Emperor, Emperor Shao and second brother were killed by the 13 Devil Bloods. At the same time, the whole Tang of the East was completely occupied by the 13 Devil Bloods. The movements of the 13 Devil Bloods were too fast. They were so fast that even the Green Fire Palace was unable to react. After that, the 13 Devil Bloods created a devil church and looked for believers wantonly. With that, their abilities got stronger day by day. Could it be that the Green Fire Palace allowed the devil church to continue getting stronger? Jian Wushuang asked with a low voice. Of course not. Before Tang of the East underwent the great change, the Green Fire Palace stepped in. However, it was useless as the 13 Devil Bloods were too strong, Wang Yuan said bitterly. Many people beside him also could not help but lower their heads. Too strong? Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank. They are really too strong. Among the 13 Devil Bloods, none of them are someone who the Green Fire Palace can compete with. For example, currently, the strongest person in the Green Fire Palace is your father, Palace Master Jian Nantian. However, even if it were him, he would be completely helpless when he comes across the 13 Devil Bloods, Wang Yuan said. Jian Wushuang could not help but look at his own father. Jian Nantian was a proud person and he considered himself the best in the world. However, as he listened to Wang Yuan, he nodded his head. It was obvious that he acknowledged that fact. Before the gap in terms of abilities, even if the Green Fire Palace wanted to take revenge for second brother, Elder Tang Emperor and Emperor Shao, what can we do? Wang Yuan sighed lightly. Abilities, right? Jian Wushuang clenched his fists and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. I will avenge second brother, Elder Tang Emperor and Emperor Shao. Boss Wang Yuan, where is the base of the Devil Church? Jian Wushuang had already stood up. Old 3, don't be reckless. Wang Yuan stopped Jian Wushuang right away. Schwanger, Jian Nantian also frowned. It's useless. The 13 Devil Bloods are really too powerful. According to Dan Xin's predictions, the 13 Devil Bloods have already achieved the level of a real god. Moreover, they are not normal real gods. Even when placed in the vast eternal chaotic world, any one of them would be considered a first-class expert, let alone the 13 Devil Bloods teaming up. Wang Yuan sighed lightly. Old 3, I know that you are filled with sorrow and that you wish to avenge second brother and the rest of them. All of us wish to do so as well. However, no matter how much we want to avenge them, we cannot send ourselves to our deaths. Send ourselves to our deaths? They are merely trash, what right do they have to kill me? Jian Wushuang laughed disdainfully. Old 3, they are real gods, Wang Yuan said in an imperative tone. Everyone by the side also looked at Jian Wushuang. They had gotten some information from the ancient battlefield nearby and they knew that the pure sun realm, which was also the real god realm, was after the universe god realm. With regards to real gods, they also had some knowledge about them. Real gods were super experts. For example, for a universe god of the second heaven like Jian Nantian, the weakest real god could kill hundreds upon hundreds of him with a flip of his palm. In the current Green Fire world, real gods were invincible. Upon hearing Wang Yuan's words, Jian Wushuang laughed although he was extremely furious. Ha! Real gods, bullshit. Forget about real gods. Even if an almighty at the level of a Sir God or Emperor God were to kill my brothers, I would want him dead as well. Jian Wushuang's words caused everyone present to be shocked. From Jian Wushuang's words, they could also tell that Jian Wushuang seemed to not spare a glance for real gods. Old 3, you are able to kill real gods? Wang Yuan opened his eyes wide and asked. Jian Nantian, Su Rou and the rest of the people also looked at Jian Wushuang in succession. Real gods. In the years that I have traveled in the eternal chaotic world, I have already killed so many real gods that I have lost count of them. Even almighties who are above real gods, I have also killed more than 5 of them. For these 13 Devil Bloods or whatever they are called, even if they were top chaotic real gods, it would be easy for me to kill them, Jian Wushuang said in a deep voice. Upon hearing that, everyone was first stunned. After that, they were over the moon. Wang Yuan cried tears of joy. That's great. That's great, Old 3. We must avenge them. You must really avenge second brother. Old 3, Old 2 cannot die for nothing. Su Rou also said earnestly. Kill all of them. Destroy the 13 Devil Bloods. The 13 Devil Bloods had done all kinds of evil. For many years, the whole Green Fire Palace has been crushed under their feet and we only dared to be furious but not say anything. If not for us controlling the great spacetime formation nearby which caused the 13 Devil Bloods to be worried, they would have gone on a killing spree and killed all of us a long time ago. And now, kill. They have to die. Everyone in the area unleashed shocking murderous intents in succession. In the Green Fire world, countless cultivators hated the 13 Devil Bloods to the bone. However, they suffered from a lack of abilities. However, at that time Jianghu, the savior who had turned things around with his power alone at the critical moment back then in the great battle with the Jin Kingdom, had returned. This had allowed them to see hope. Just then, Jian Nanshan's expression changed abruptly. What's wrong? Jian Wuxuang looked at Jian Nantian. The people from the Devil Church have come to our doorstep, Jian Nantian said. Oh. Jian Wuxuang's eyes turned cold at once. Chapter 1794. Devil Church Green Fire Palace. Outside the huge war fortress, over 10 crimson-dressed figures stood there arrogantly. The 3 leading figures were all universe gods and the rest were all universe masters. Swoosh. A gray-dressed elderly flew out from the war fortress. The gray-dressed elderly was a universe god from Green Fire Palace. Devil Church, what are you doing here? The gray-dressed elderly looked at over 10 people before him and he looked distressed. The master of Devil Church told us to pass you this list. Our master instructed Green Fire Palace to gather all the treasures on the list within a year. If you fail to do so, we will compensate it with the lives of the experts from Green Fire Palace. A purple-haired universe god that led the group from Devil Church said coldly. B** starred. The gray-dressed elderly looked at the treasures on the list and grew furious. What? You Green Fire Palace has the guts to go against our Mr. Blood Devil's order? The purple-haired universe god glanced at the gray-dressed elderly and he looked in disdain. Hearing Mr. Blood Devil's name, the gray-dressed elderly quivered in fear. He held back his anger but didn't lose his temper. Then, in the war fortress, many figures gathered and watched the scene outside with layers of prohibition behind the war fortress. These are the people from Devil Church? Jian Wuxuang's gaze grew cold. Yes, Wang Yuan nodded. All these years Devil Church grew stronger day by day. Besides the strongest 13 blood devils, there are many experts under their command. The experts are mostly people who are of an evil disposition. For instance, the universe god who was talking just then is truly a demon. He once massacred wantonly in Green Fire World. Then Void Temple got angry and wanted to kill him. He was a person hated by everyone. After that, he joined Devil Church and has 13 blood devils as his backers, so he behaves even more wantonly. As for the list he gave, Devil Church will give us a list every once in a while and they want Green Fire Palace to gather the treasure and resources on the list in a given time. In the beginning, the treasure and resources that they asked for weren't much, so Green Fire Palace dismissed them like the plague. However, the treasure and resources that Devil Church asked for are becoming more and more. They are simply treating Green Fire Palace as a treasury. Jian Wuxuang squinted his eyes. Tell the universe god from Green Fire Palace to come back. Wang Yuan nodded and sent a message to the gray-dressed elderly. Very soon, the gray-dressed elderly returned to the war fortress. The experts of Devil Church awaited Green Fire Palace's reply. Just then, swoosh, swoosh. There were 2 figures that appeared in front of the experts from Devil Church from nowhere. Die. A low bellow and a cold-looking young man who was carrying a sword attacked. Just a simple swing lit up the universe. There were over 10 experts from Devil Church and the strongest among them was only a universe god in the first heaven. In He Shio's eyes they were a non-entity. They had yet to respond and they were killed by the sword light straight away. Over 10 experts from Devil Church died with one stroke. Then He Shio and Shio Yu walked into the war fortress. He Shio and Shio Yu walked through the prohibition and came before Jian Wuxuang to bow politely. Old 3 these 2 are? Wang Yuan looked at the 2 of them in shock. One of them is my disciple and the other one is my maidservant, Jian Wuxuang introduced calmly. Disciple? Maidservant? Everyone was surprised. His disciple was already this strong. Just how strong was he as the master? Boss Wang Yuan, get me detailed information about Devil Church including the locations of the 13 blood devils, their relatives, friends and experts under their command, Jian Wuxuang said. Sure, Wang Yuan nodded and said, Old 3 those people earlier were sent by the 13 blood devils. Now that they're dead, the 13 blood devils definitely know. If not mistaken, in no time they will be here. Is that so? Jian Wuxuang smirked coldly. Let them come then. Green Fire Palace was well founded in Green Fire World. Even though they were suppressed by Devil Church all these years, the inside information was not something Devil Church could compare to. In terms of information, they were far ahead of Devil Church. According to Jian Wushuang's instructions, Green Fire Palace's huge information system immediately started to operate. At the same time, the 13 Blood Devils in Green Fire World had already received the news that the people that they had sent were killed. The 13 Blood Devils were furious. Humph, Green Fire Palace, they have guts. They thought they controlled the formation and we of Devil Church would not dare to touch them? Such a joke. It seems that we didn't attack for many years and Green Fire Palace isn't as fearful of us as before. Let's carry out a massacre. Old Nine, you take care of this. Among the 13 Blood Devils, the one who was in the 9th place departed personally to Green Fire Palace. Although they only sent one person, the Blood Devils weren't worried at all. After all, the 13 Blood Devils were all supreme existences in Green Fire World. One person's strength alone was sufficient to wipe out the entire Green Fire Palace. In no time, the Blood Devil in the 9th place arrived outside the war fortress. Jian Nantian Wang Yuan, you two rubbish, come and die. A hoarse yet disdainful voice was heard from the Blood Devil's mouth. It rang across the universe and traveled into the war fortress. Green Fire Palace was led by Jian Nantian and Wang Yuan. Jian Nantia was the strongest while Wang Yuan was best at making elixirs. In the war fortress, under the layers of prohibitions, there were a large number of figures standing there. These were all experts from Green Fire Palace. There was a total of a few thousand people. The experts could see the Blood Devil with the prohibition in between. They could feel the terrifying aura soaring from the Blood Devil and they looked pale. Too strong. The 13 Blood Devils, any one of them is an unrivaled existence. It is said that when the 13 Blood Devils destroyed Tang of the East, only one Blood Devil fought. He killed all the higher-ups of Tang of the East with a snap of his fingers. With us Green Fire Palace alone, how could we withstand the Blood Devils? Most of the people in Green Fire World didn't know Jian Wushuang had returned. Even if they knew, they weren't confident. After all, they had never seen Jian Wushuang in action. However, they had experienced the scariness of the Blood Devil in Green Fire World long ago. Just as everyone was quivering in fear, there was a figure in the war fortress that flew out. He flew in front of the Blood Devil. He was in a crimson robe, carrying a sword. His face was cold, as though it had been covered with a layer of frost. The moment he appeared, he immediately became the attention of the universe. Everyone couldn't help but look at him. Chapter 1795. Ruthless Massacre, eh? When the Devil Blood, who originally did not spare a glance for the Green Fire Palace, saw Jian Wushuang walking toward him slowly, his eyes shrank. Who are you? The Devil Blood questioned, and he was surprised. It should be known that he was a real god. Moreover, he was a top eternal real god. In the end, he could not see through the other party's aura. My name is Jian Wushuang. You might have heard of me before. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. Jian Wushuang? The Devil Blood was stunned. After that, he laughed loudly. I thought that you were someone else. So it's the top genius who has killed the monarch of the Jin Kingdom 50,000 years ago with his power alone. Even though you have left the Green Fire World to travel in the eternal chaotic world, you are still able to return alive. You are indeed somewhat capable. After knowing Jian Wushuang's identity, the Devil Blood did not have any more concerns. It should be known that Jian Wushuang had only just had the fighting capabilities of a universe god 50,000 years ago. How powerful could he be after 50,000 years? At best, wouldn't he just be a normal real god? Jian Wushuang, you should not have returned. The Green Fire World is no longer the Green Fire World that you were once in, the Devil Blood laughed. To me it's the same, Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Is that so? The Devil Blood grinned. Forget it, I shall stop talking to you unnecessarily. Instead, I shall get rid of you straight away so that you will understand that the Green Fire World changed a long time ago. Go to hell. As soon as his words left his mouth, the Devil Blood moved fiercely. The enormous amount of aura from an eternal real god was then unleashed and it exerted pressure on Jian Wushuang. The Devil Blood swung his palm with lightning speed. A crimson sharp claw then ripped open the universe and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. The moment the Devil Blood attacked, the large number of experts in the war fortress of the Green Fire World became dumbfounded at once. The abilities that the Blood Devil unleashed caused them to give up all hope. However, just then, as the crimson sharp claw of the Devil Blood was about to come into contact with Jian Wushuang's head, Jian Wushuang raised his head. Die. An icy cold voice was blurted out. Jian Wushuang did not make any movements at all, and he only said one word. However, that word alone contained the frightening god power of an emperor god. The god power was very impressive, and it exerted pressure as though a giant constellation had fallen. Bam! The devil blood's body burst open straight away and turned into a huge amount of blood mist. The devil blood did not experience any pain. In addition, his consciousness had not even reacted as well, and he burst open instantly. When the large number of experts in the war fortress saw the great amount of blood mist falling to the bottom, all of them were extremely dumbfounded. He's dead. The invincible devil blood has been killed? He didn't do anything? Indeed, he did not do anything. Instead, he merely relied on the pressure in his aura to burst open a devil blood? Countless sounds of gasping could be heard. At the next moment they burst into an uproar as well as cheers. Quite a number of experts still doubted Jian Wushuang's abilities. However, at that moment all their doubts were gone. Old three. Wang Yuan and Su Ro were over the moon. This is the son of me, Jian Nantian. Jian Nantian clenched both his fists tightly and looked at Ji Wuming, who was beside him. Both of them were extremely emotional. This junior of mine? Shui Lingtian gasped in admiration. Everyone was filled with an excitement that could not be concealed. Only He Xiao and Xiao Yu were extremely calm. This piece of trash is merely an eternal real god. Yet he still dared to attack Master. He Xiao laughed disdainfully. Just then Jian Wushuang, who had killed the devil blood, returned to the war fortress. Boss Wang Yuan, has the information on the devil church been prepared? Jian Wushuang questioned. It has been prepared and it is here. Wang Yuan handed a token over to Jian Wushuang. After receiving it, Jian Wushuang glanced through it. He then nodded his head and said, "Let's go to the Green Fire World." "Why are we going there?" Wang Yuan asked subconsciously. "To kill people." Jian Wushuang's voice was calm and low. The two continents, the Samsara continent and the Void continent, still existed in the Green Fire World. The two former overlords, the Void Temple and the Samsara Temple, were still present as well. However, their power and positions were no longer like the past. At that moment, the Devil Church had the most authority in the Green Fire World. In a garden in an extremely huge castle, a crimson-haired stalwart man was lying on the grass lazily. He wore a gentle smile and looked very understanding toward others. However, the tens of surrounding maids serving him knew very well how frightening and evil in existence the stalwart man was. In the Devil Church there were 13 devil bloods. With respect to his abilities, although this crimson-haired stalwart man was ranked 11th, he was the most evil devil blood. All of a sudden a gust of cold wind blew by. The body of the maid, who was originally massaging the legs of the crimson-haired stalwart man, shook and she exerted some extra force in her hands. The crimson-haired stalwart man looked at the maid abruptly, and the gentle smile that he wore on his face was charming. However, he raised his finger slightly. Upon seeing that, the maid's expression turned ghastly pale at once. Swish! A saber light swept past the arm of the maid right away and cut off her whole arm. After that, the crimson-haired stalwart man grabbed the maid's arm and started to eat it by biting it. After some time he had eaten the arm completely, to the point that his whole mouth was filled with blood. "Haha, the taste is not too bad." After the crimson-haired stalwart man finished eating, he laughed loudly. After that, he moved his finger again and cut off the other arm of the maid. He then started to eat it. The surrounding maids who served him trembled with fear, and they did not dare to say anything. As for the maid whose arms had been cut off, her face was filled with hopelessness. Just then, an astonishing power came. All of a sudden, the crimson-haired stalwart man's smile froze and his eyes became filled with fear. After that, his consciousness dissipated right away. A crimson-robed figure appeared behind the crimson-haired stalwart man abruptly, and he extended his big hands to grab the crimson-haired stalwart man's head. After twisting his head off, he disappeared again. The maids around him were completely stunned. As they looked at the headless body in front of them, they became shocked. However, they were delighted. Dead. This devil is finally dead. The maid whose 2 arms had been cut off laughed loudly at once. In the void, Jian Wushuang's body appeared again and his hands were holding a head. Upon seeing the head, the thousands of experts from the Green Fire Palace who had hurried over became extremely astonished. "This is the second one." Jian Wushuang had an ice-cold expression. After putting the head in his hands into his Chen Kuan ring, he set off again. The massacre was still ongoing. The Devil Church had a total of 13 devil bloods. In particular, a portion of them had always stayed in the base of the church. However, some of them stayed in different places and became the tyrants of that place. As for who Jian Wushuang was currently looking for, he was looking for those tyrants. With Jian Wushuang's absolute abilities, the devil bloods who had dispersed everywhere were killed mercilessly. Chapter 1796. Devil Chuch's Lair. In a day's time, Jian Wushuang went to a few places and killed a total of 7 blood devils. The experts from Green Fire Palace were even more astonished. One should know that a day's time. To them, it wasn't even enough for them to rush their journey, let alone kill the blood devils. Next is to Devil Chuch's lair. Jian Wushuang's gaze was cold. According to the information that Green Fire Palace had found, the remaining 6 blood devils from Devil Church were in the lair. Jian Wushuang then led the experts from Green Fire Palace to Devil Chuch's lair. Devil Chuch's lair was originally in Tang of the East, the imperial city in Tang of the East. Old 3, that's where Devil Chuch's lair is at. Wang Yuan pointed at a huge city engulfed in a crimson fog in front. It was originally the imperial city in Tang of the East, but it was renamed to Devil City. Theoretically, Devil City has blood devils attending to garrison duty personally, so there is no one from Green Fire World that dares to act wildly here. However, somehow or other, the 13 blood devils from Devil Church still joined forces to set up a huge formation in the city. The power of the formation is impressive. Is it? Jian Wushuang looked calm. He glanced at Devil City, then he raised his palm and pointed at Devil City from afar. He pointed. Oh. The huge formation that covered Devil City instantly cracked without any struggle. The formation broke and the experts from Devil Church and Devil City were immediately startled. Countless figures soared into the air. Those leading were of course the remaining 6 blood devils. B** starred. Green Fire Palace, how dare you? The 6 blood devils were angry and they let out roars. But very soon, their attentions were caught by the person in front of the people from Green Fire Palace. This person. The 6 blood devils exchanged a look and they were surprised. The 6 of them were the higher ranked among the blood devils. Among the 6 of them, there were 3 who had already reached the level of chaotic real god. But they couldn't see through Jian Wushuang's aura? They could feel that Jian Wushuang was powerful, but they couldn't tell which level Jian Wushuang was at. Hey, who are you? A bald man among the 6 blood devils asked in a deep voice. The bald man was the number 1 boss among the 13 blood devils. Green Fire Palace, Jian Wushuang said calmly. It's you? The 6 blood devils were surprised and they had obviously heard of Jian Wushuang before. Humph, I never expected you to return from eternal chaotic world. The bald man smirked coldly. Jian Wushuang, I think you are a genius. Why did you return when you were doing so well in eternal chaotic world? I came back to take revenge. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. He then waved and there were heads that were thrown out. There were 13 blood devils and I have killed 7. Now there are only 6 of you left. Looking at the heads floating in the void, the 6 blood devils who were originally calm were raging. B** starred, how dare you kill our brothers? The bad man was angry. Not only them but all of you also have to die. Jian Wushuang looked expressionless. A simple reply seemed to have announced a death sentence for the 6 of them. Humph, don't think you are unmatched after you killed my 7 brothers. Today I will turn Green Fire Palace into a bloodbath and take revenge on the behalf of my 7 brothers. The bald man let out a cold humph. Let's do this together and kill him. Oh, 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 oh. 6 fierce auras instantly exploded. Any one of the 6 auras could make countless experts from Green Fire Palace feel hopeless. However, to Jian Wushuang they were too weak. Die. With just one word, it wasn't the pressure of divine might but 5 fine sword intentions that appeared in front of him. The 5 fine sword intentions swept out and the speed was so fast that the few real gods couldn't even see the shadow. 5 sword lights pierced the eyebrows of 5 blood devils. Instantly there were 5 bodies falling. The 6 blood devils were soaring with rage and wanted to attack Jian Wushuang, but there were 5 of them that died instantly and only the bald man was left standing there. How is it possible? The bald man's eyes were wide and he looked at Jian Wushuang with a horrified look. It was as though he had seen a ghost. It stirred billowing waves in the bottom of his heart. He had heard about Jian Wushuang before and he knew about Jian Wushuang's outstanding achievements. Even though Jian Wushuang had once brought about a radical change in the war against Jin Kingdom, Jian Wushuang was nothing in his eyes. Because Jian Wushuang had only been a universe god then and he was already a real god, a chaotic real god. He had thought killing a universe god was as easy as killing an ant. Hence, he didn't care about Jian Wushuang at all in the beginning. Even when Jian Wushuang had returned, He had reckoned that Jian Wushuang was only slightly bigger than an ant and he didn't care. But who would have guessed that Jian Wushuang had become so ferocious? He had become so powerful. The 13 blood devils were like babies before Jian Wushuang. Do you know why I didn't kill you? Jian Wushuang took one step forward and stood 10 meters before the bald man. His cold gaze fixed onto the bald man and he was looking at him as though he was looking at an ant. No, even worse than an ant. Why? The bald man stuttered. Because I don't want you to die so easily, Jian Wushuang said coldly. Back when you 13 blood devils destroyed Tang of the East, you were the one who killed the higher-ups of Tang of the East, right? You did it personally, right? The bald man stuttered and he was at a loss for words. Do you know that among the people that you killed there was my benefactor, my wife's father, and my brother? Jian Wushuang uttered every word clearly and there was boundless rage and hatred in his eyes. Old Tuyang Zishuan, Emperor Tang, Emperor Shao, which one of them were not related to him? They had died because of the 13 blood devils, because of non-entity-like people. For them I will not let you die so quickly. I have to torture you for 1,000 years? No, for 10,000 years. I want you to live in complete agony. Try this. Jian Wushuang said and there was crimson light that burst out of his eyes. The crimson light was brilliant and it looked just like a crimson sun. The moment the bald man saw the crimson light, he was dumbfounded. Suddenly, rumble. A boundless prison engulfed him. Secret skill of soul attack 18 Azura Hell descended. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.